2015. Councilmember McConaughey.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member McConaughey and seconded by Board Member Nichols. Discussion of the motion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Board Member Rice. Aye. Chair Rawl.
Yes.
Board Member Nichols.
Yes.
Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Board Member Haga.
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey.
Aye.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
Item 2B, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 169, adopting the tentative budget for the City of West Jordan Redevelopment Agency for fiscal year 2015-2016 and set June 10th, 2015 as the budget public hearing. Bryce?
I apologize, I'm trying to straighten things out here, so are there any questions on that date?
Questions from council?
Any questions?
From the board? I have none.
I got off easy.
Board Member McConaughey.
There are no questions. I move to approve Resolution 169, adopting the fiscal year 2015-16 tentative budgets for the RDA, and schedule the public hearing for the tentative budgets on June 10th, 2015.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member McConaughey and a second by Board Member Hanson. Discussion of the motion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Board Member Haga.
Yes.
Board Member Rice.
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey.
Aye.
Board Member Southworth.
Aye.
Board Member Nichols.
Yes.
Chair Rawl.
Yes.
Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Okay. A motion would be in order to adjourn the redevelopment agency meeting and convene the municipal building authority meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Hanson and a second by Board Member Nichols. Discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? We'll call to order the Municipal Building Authority meeting. First item of business, approve the minutes of December 3rd, 2014.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Southworth and a second by Board Member Nichols. Discussion? Vote.
Board Member McConaughey. Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Board Member Haga.
Yes.
Chair Rawl.
Yes.
Board Member Southworth.
Aye.
Board Member Rice.
Aye.
Board Member Nichols.
Yes.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Item 2B, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 84, adopting the tentative budget for the City of West Jordan Municipal Building Authority for the fiscal year 2015-2016 and set June 10th, 2015 as the budget public hearing.
Are there any questions, council?
Board Member Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions. We'll leave you off the hook. I move that we approve Resolution 84.
Second that.
I have a motion by Board Member Nichols and a second by Board Member Hanson. Discussion? Please vote.
Chair Rawl.
Yes.
Board Member Haga.
Yes.
Board Member Rice.
Yes.
Board Member Nichols.
Yes.
Board Member McConaughey.
Aye.
Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Board Member Southworth.
Aye.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
A motion would be in order now to adjourn the Municipal Building Authority meeting and convene the Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District.
So moved. I'll second it.
A motion by Board Member Hanson and a second by Board Member McConaughey. Discussion? Seeing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? First order of business, item 2A, approve the minutes of December 3rd, 2014 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Board Member McConaughey and a second by Board Member Hanson. Discussion? Please vote.
Board Member Southworth.
Aye.
Board Member McConaughey.
Aye.
Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Board Member Rice.
Aye.
Board Member Haga.
Yes.
Board Member Nichols.
Yes.
Chair Rawl.
Yes.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Item 2B, resolution 15-86, adopting the tentative budget for the City of West Jordan Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District for fiscal year 2015-2016 and set June 10, 2015 as a budget public hearing.
Any questions, council? Board? Thank you.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Southworth and a second by Board Member Nichols. Discussion? Let's vote.
Board Member Hanson,
Yes.
Chair Wall,
Yes.
Board Member Southworth,
Aye.
Board Member McConaughey,
Aye.
Board Member Haga,
Yes.
Board Member Nichols,
Yes.
Board Member Rice.
Aye.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Okay, a motion would be in order to adjourn the Fairway Estates Special Service Recreation District meeting and reconvene City Council meeting.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Southworth and a second by Board Member Nichols. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes carry. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance, and it will be led by Bryson Rasmussen from Troop 1998.
Will the audience please rise? All those in uniform salute. If not, place your hand over your heart. Repeat the pledge after me. Ready? Begin. Two. The audience may be seated.
Thank you very much, Bryson. First item, presentation 4A, the Big Bend Habitat Concepts presentation by the River Restoration. Chuck Tarver.
Great. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We wanted to come in and just give you a brief presentation of the work that we've been doing down at the Big Bend Restoration area with River Restoration. We currently have 3 preliminary concepts that we wanted the council to see tonight. Take the next couple of weeks, look over them, and then we'll come back to 27th for more detailed discussion. But I have Eric McCulley with River Restoration here tonight to do a quick PowerPoint for you guys.
All right, thank you, Mayor, Council, for your attention tonight. I'm with River Restoration, as Chuck mentioned, and we've developed 3 concepts for restoration down at the Big Bend site on the Jordan River, which is just north of 90th South, goes up to about 8600 South, right along the Jordan River. So north of the Puck Power Substation. It looks like we've got a PDF here, so I'm not sure if I can change that. So I might have to have someone move it forward. It looks like this is going to work. So the partners that we have on board working with us, I'm with River Restoration. We've got some other consultants with us, All Red Restoration, BioWest, Peters and Newell, and Intermountain Aquatics to help us out with this project. We have a pretty diverse group of stakeholders for the project. We've got the Fish and Wildlife Service, Natural Resource Damage Assessment and Restoration Program, the DNR, North Jordan Irrigation Council, National Park Service, Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, Salt Lake County, Tracy Aviary, and the DEQ, Rocky Mountain Power, Sandy, and the Jordan River Commission. So we have a pretty big group of folks helping us out, and they all provide input as a stakeholder committee. We have meetings about quarterly. So the basic background of the project is, so here's the Sharon Steel tailings pile, here's the Rocky Mountain Power Substation and 90th South, and this is the Big Bend Restoration Area. There's about 70 acres right down here, and here's the Jordan River flowing to the north. So this has a little bit of information about, so now north is going this way. This property is actually owned by West Jordan City. This is the Mitigation Commission, Utah Reclamation Mitigation Commission, which is part of the Central Utah project. And then this is Rocky Mountain Power. So you can see the Jordan River flowing right here, and then here's the Sharon Steel Tailings Impoundment. And this is the new, there's a new trail that comes down right through here and basically connects up to at 90th South. And then there's a new bridge that goes across the river just north of the project. So the background of the project is this is a part of the Jordan River that has been eroded pretty significantly. And there's also dredge piles down there, and you can see there's significant down cutting along the Jordan River. And then these are actually some invasive trees called Russian olive. One thing you can see in the background are the native cottonwood trees. And we're trying to enhance those, and there's actually a project tomorrow with the Rotary that's going to come down and help us work on this. So the elements of the project, one of the elements is our project enhancements. The main project enhancements we're doing are invasive species control, so this will include noxious and invasive species. We're doing native vegetation plantings. This is actually one of our habitat patches where we're trying out some different native species. We're also doing wetland and riparian corridor creation and improvements on the Jordan River. And so those will be carried on into the different concept designs. We've also got recreational enhancements, which include an urban fishery, paths and grading, an iconic structure, which is right here, which will be on top of a mound. So basically we're going to dig out an urban fishery, mound the soils up, and then there'll be a viewing platform area, and then some other recreational enhancements. There'll be educational opportunities and increase in public access to the area. Other parts of the project will be limited public access for wildlife enhancements. So this is the low-range alternative. What we did is we came up with 3 alternatives, basically on cost. And so this is the low-range alternative. What you can see is it has an urban fishery, a little stream that'll come here, and then here's the fill material, and the iconic structure would be right here, but this actually doesn't contain a larger structure. So here's the Jordan River as it flows through. We've already been doing some work over in here over the last couple years. So the mid-range alternative would have an increase in the size of the pond. This area would have a trail going up to the top and potentially a structure on top of that where you'd have views of the mountains. One of the ideas is to have a view of Little Cottonwood Canyon and then a view to the north of the mountains. So it'll be a pretty neat facility. And then this would be the habitat area, and we would actually run the Jordan River right through the middle here. And the notable difference here is we're running the Jordan River through instead of just a trickle of stream. And then basically we would create a blockage in the Jordan River, so some flow would continue in the existing channel, but the majority of the flow would go right across the middle of the site. So the highest range option is actually to excavate an interior floodplain here, and what this will do is increase the flood holding capacity. It will also increase the habitat diversity, and then we would pretty much put the entire river through here, and it would be pretty solid right here, right below the sewer crossing, and then we'd have to tie it back in right here, and there'd be some recreational amenities. But this would allow the river to move around a little bit down in the floodplain. So it would involve significant floodplain removal of material. So the alternatives evaluation, and I apologize, this is a little bit small. Can you blow this up a little bit? Possibly, or there you go, 150. So this is a quick look at the different costs and some of the specific habitat components. So you can see alternative 1 is the high range where we have 42 acres of habitat, 16 acres of isolated habitat, 11 acres of wetlands. riverine habitat at 4.2 acres, and then we haven't graded the quality of experience and the maintenance yet, with a total cost of potentially around $8 million. And this would be a phased plan over time. The middle range option is under $5 million, and the biggest difference there is going to be the disposal costs. We're looking at disposing potentially on the tailings pile, and we're looking at some other options. And then the low range option would basically be no riverine habitat and at potentially around $3 million for the urban fishery and some of the other amenities. You can see some different components of the habitat area, the wetland areas, quality of experience, and construction costs down here, and all that information is provided to you in some of the detailed reports. But basically what it boils down to is increase in quality of experience at the high range and minimal increase in the quality of recreational experience at the low range. So let's see if I can, let's go back there. Okay, so at this point in time, you can center that. Sorry, this is PowerPoint, but we've got the PDF. So at this point in time, we have $760,000 on tap from the natural resource damage assessment. And this is basically from the impacts of the Sharon Steel. This is with Fish and Wildlife Service, and we're working on freeing those funds up for the project. We have non-point source funds from the Division of Water Quality, invasive species management funds from the Department of Ag and Food, and we've got funds from Watershed Restoration Initiative. There's other potential funding sources. Forestry Fire and State Lands has potentially $250,000 to put to this. And we're seeking out additional funding sources at this point in time. So the next steps, and I know you can't read this too much, but we're looking at permitting framework. So here we are right now. We're presenting these alternatives to the city. We'll come back on your next event, your next city council meeting, and give you a little bit more information after you've had a chance to review the documents and the information. And then we'll be developing our permitting framework, funding strategy, and then moving into this 30% design. And so that's what our project is right now, to get this to 30% design. And we're going to need your guidance on moving forward on which design we move forward with to bring the 30%, and then developing plans and cost estimates, and then we'll review that with the stakeholders again in August. And then we'll have another design meeting here, and that says later August is what it looks like there. So that's all I have for today. I know I was given 10 minutes, and I think I counted in 10 minutes, but if anyone has any questions, I'm here to answer them, and we'll be back on the 27th to answer more questions.
Questions? Councilmember Haga.
Because I recreate there, is there ways to go in there and look at that, or is it mostly swamp still right now?
It's
treaded that way.
It's mostly upland right now, actually, and there are ways to come down there. We're having a big volunteer event tomorrow with the Rotary Club and a bunch of other folks. So we'll be down there tomorrow, but if you want to go out there, and if the council's interested in doing a field tour or something, we could definitely do that to familiarize you with the site. But the trail goes through there right now, and then, you can get off of the trail in different areas and go down there. And I usually ask Chuck for permission to go down there, but you guys could probably go down. Any other questions?
I think.
Go ahead.
Okay. Do you have, are you going to get us copies of what you presented here so we can look at that range, the maps and all of that?
Yes.
I haven't seen that yet.
And Chuck's going to give you those. So we have the alternatives discussion and a data gaps analysis and basically a technical memorandum, and Chuck can provide that to you.
And you also mentioned, I think you said Rotary. You were working with the Rotary to do a little project down there.
They're coming down tomorrow.
Are you looking for others to be involved, volunteer cleanup, that sort of thing? Or
Absolutely.
We always have requests, Eagle projects and troops that, or groups that want to just volunteer. So if there are, I guess we can funnel that through Chuck.
Exactly. Yeah. And Chuck can provide my information to them. The Rotary has actually adopted the stretch from 7,800 to 9,000 south. And so they're going to be basically helping steward the site. They want to make it a long-term thing. And I understand, city budgets and maintaining something like this, it's a stretch in the future. So what we're trying to do is get as many groups as possible to join us in, different aspects of it. Mostly habitat restoration. We've done a lot of planting. We had over 800 volunteers down there last year. Got dedicated hunters. We want to have Boy Scout groups and Eagle Scouts. And we hope to actually have a place for public education where we can bring groups down and integrate them into the program.
So the city of West Jordan has a program called Adopt a Spot.
Absolutely.
For streets, parks, open space, and trails, what SPOT stands for. So I don't know if that's what you're using, where the deal is that you make a commitment is for a year or two, and you put signs up to say who the group is, and provide it with trash bags or whatever it has,
Right.
and then they commit to doing. I don't know if that's what we're using, but that is a tool that we could possibly use as well.
That sounds great, and I don't think they've signed up specifically, but
a lot of organizations that have already expressed interest, and once we get the concept and some other things going, I think we're going to have a lot of groups.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, so I'll be lining out basically the tasks, and then I make sure they get done, and we have some interns and other staff that make sure everyone stays safe and has a good experience.
Great project, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item 4B, presentation from Mark Norman, Vice President of Olympic Legacy Foundation regarding solar energy projects.
Hi, Mayor and Council. As you know, I'm not Mark Norman, but I'll be introducing him. I'm Zach Jacob, the Chairman of the Sustainability and Budget Committee. And just to give you a quick background on this, we had Mr. Norman come to our Sustainability Committee meeting last month, and he gave us a great overview on what they've done at the Olympic Oval as far as putting solar panels over the parking lot. We thought, hey, we have a pretty big parking lot right outside here. Wonder if that would be feasible here. So we brought him in to introduce his project and go over that. And the reason he's here tonight is to explore the feasibility of that for our city. So with that, that's a very quick introduction. I'll turn the time over to Mark. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. I love talking about our project. I love talking about our facility. It's truly unique, one of only two enclosed 400-meter speed skating ovals in all of the U.S., so pretty special place. I'm a little biased, I admit. But here to talk about our solar project. A couple of years ago, Rocky Mountain Power put out a state incentive program for solar. We're a large utility user, I imagine much like yourself. So our utility costs here at the Oval about $750,000 a year. As a nonprofit organization, of course, we're looking for any way we can to kind of reduce that. Once the Rocky Mountain Power incentive program came out, we decided to throw our name in the hat and see really what was possible. And really, we threw our name in first, not really knowing what to expect and whether we were ready for solar or not, but felt like we should at least give it a shot. And I'll explain a little bit as we went, kind of our steps of how we got to where we are today. But the project, as you can see, the Oval itself doesn't really own any other additional property other than what the Oval sits on. So we didn't really have a bunch of great options for places to put a large solar array. We ended up putting it over the parking lot, which certainly is not the most efficient way to do it. But for us, we were still able to make it work, and amazingly has a lot of other benefits I'll speak to that we didn't really anticipate at the beginning of the project. But as you can see, that's about a 400 stall parking lot. Prior to this, one giant piece of black asphalt. The Oval's a LEED certified, actually the first LEED certified building of its kind in the United States. We helped write the code for the LEED Green Buildings initiative, and it's for a building of its size, it's the first one. So we kind of felt both with the Olympics, an environmental stance, trying to keep that going, our LEED heritage of the past, and yeah, frankly, a little bit showing the International Olympic Committee we still care, we're still here, we're still ready to host another game sometimes. So kind of a bunch of those kind of came together besides the financial side. But what this is 3,100 panels covering our parking lot. They provide, it's a little better picture of it there, so covers almost the entire parking lot, provide about 11% of the Oval's power, which sounds a little small, and I would say that's a little bit of a safe estimate. And how it works is we won the Rocky Mountain Power Grant, and that then really myself and our president and CEO looked at one another and said, uh-oh, we better look and see if this is really something we want to do. We spent a lot of time. We had the state of Utah really help us out and say, hey, we've got 3 or 4 other projects we'd like to lump you in with us, try and get some better pricing. And they had a company, this BackGen company, that really kind of dove into the feasibility side of it. I won't get into the details of the feasibility side of it. At the end of the day, for us, it did make sense. We're able to tout that we're going to pay off this project in just a little over 5 years, which is pretty amazing for a solar project. So as you can see, covering the entire parking lot, pretty amazing. That's kind of a little bit of a view of the space it sits in, and a little bit of the stats. So it's an 800 kilowatt solar array, currently the largest parking solar array in the state. And like I said, that's 3,100 panels. It generates for us about 1 million kilowatt hours a year. We use about 10 million kilowatt hours a year. Some of the benefits, this is straight from the EPA website, but enough energy to power 105 homes, saves about 3.4 million gallons of water a year. Pretty impressive. Also, again, we felt once we determined that feasibility-wise this made sense, we started looking for partners. Salt Lake County jumped on board, wanting to make a statement of its green initiatives. Felt like we were a great partner. We loved partnering up with them for sure, in addition to Rocky Mountain Power and, of course, our neighbors with the Kearns Oak Park Fitness Center all kind of came together, some with funds, some with land, some just with knowledge on how to best pull this together. Some of the other stats there, 1.6 million pounds of CO2 eliminated annually, which is pretty impressive. So, again, I just mentioned the funding partners, but so a little bit to speak of how it came to be. Once we had the incentive, then really worked with the state to determine that feasibility. How our purchase worked is we bought the power, we bought what that system's going to produce for the next 20 years up front. It's called the Power Purchase Agreement. Kind of a little solar, you got to look up a little special solar library or solar dictionary to find out some of the terms they have on how to fund these projects. But we were a Power Purchase Agreement, which basically meant we bought all the power that this system's going to generate on day one. So we put in the $1.4 million it took to construct it up front. Now, that worked for us, and what it did with Solar City, who was the constructor of the project, is it really allowed them to offer us a power rate today that is lower than today's power rate. So for us, we now say, well, we locked in a rate lower than what we're paying today on the 1 million kilowatt hours it generates a year. Not only for today, but for the next 20 years. And with Rocky Mountain Power raising rates on average about 5% a year, that'll average us across the term of the agreement about $100,000 a year in savings. That starts a little slower and ends a little higher, but a pretty sound number for us. What isn't taken into account there is those are guarantees. So we already know the system's been up here for a few months. We already know it's producing more than the guaranteed amount. That comes straight to us, so that's an additional benefit that's yet to be quantified. And then last, if you follow power a lot, demand charges are a significant part of an industrial user's bill. So for us, we took into account no demand savings. We haven't yet been able to determine how much savings we're seeing from that, but we know we will see an additional savings from the demand side of that equation. So. In the end, just wanted to share what I thought was a great project. I was very happy to share with the Sustainability Committee what we did and why. So, any questions?
Got a question. So you say a 5-year payoff. Now, is that to your organization, or does that include all of the inputs from Salt Lake County, the state, everybody, all together?
That includes to our organization, but we had the $564,000 grant from Rocky Mountain Power. We received the largest grant of that program. So that out of that $1.4 million, that knocked us down to a little bit over $900,000. Salt Lake County kicked in $200,000, so that knocked us down a little bit more. So using that number, then those our total cost to our organization was about a little less than $700,000.
But the 5-year payoff is on the 1.4.
Yeah.
Incredible. And 5-year payoff, and then how long do these last? Where's the weak spot?
That's a great question. Guaranteed for 20 years. So the energy production is guaranteed for 20 years. Let's say we're incredibly cloudy for the next 9 months. Solar City actually has to pay us the difference of what was guaranteed production versus what it actually produces for the next 20 years. It's their system right now, so if something falls out of the sky, breaks a panel stops working, they're responsible to come out and replace it. They come out and wash the panels twice a year. So we really have nothing to do with it. It's entirely theirs. The benefits all coming to us.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Item 5A, City Manager.
Well, this is a perfect segue, and I did not have this planned, but one of the questions that I needed to ask the council this evening is recognizing that the county anticipates starting with their health building next door here on the parking lot behind our fire station. I wanted to ask the council if you would be open to staff preparing a parking lot design for the west side of our building. And we've had a problem with our grass surviving and things like that. Again, I can't imagine a more perfect segue for covered parking for our parking lot. But hearing what we've heard tonight and then recognizing some of the challenges we have with our parking lot, we're not asking for any financial commitment. Would you be open to having our staff prepare a rendering with staff time, no professionals, just to bring back a parking lot design that could increase our parking lot size, and we could even entertain working with these folks?
Anyone opposed to moving? Okay.
Excellent, thank you. The next item that I want to talk about is we understand that there have been some events at the arena over some weekends recently that have caused some sound problems in adjoining neighborhoods for quite some distance. And I'm not here to speak professionally from this element. Mr. Bennett, I believe, is he here this evening from the county? Mr. Bennett is here. If the council has any questions, Mr. Bennett works for Salt Lake County. He's the one responsible for enforcing the noise ordinances throughout the county. The city can always create higher standards for reduction of noise. But what I'm asking for tonight is based on the complaints that you've received, we've received. Are you interested in the staff bringing back some ideas for ordinance changes on our facility use policy that would maybe make restrictions for Sunday use or things of that nature?
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not necessarily interested in making changes right now because it seems like most of the complaints we've had have been regarding violations of the rules that are currently in force. Well, currently on paper, but not necessarily being enforced. So I'd rather find out, is there really an issue where they're exceeding that? And if they're not exceeding that, but it's still causing an issue, then yeah, let's come back and revisit. But it sounds to me like they're going above and beyond the restrictions that are already in place, so I'd rather enforce that.
Actually, it's my understanding that we've not had any violations of the current county ordinances, that the noise that's been created has been in the 60 decibel range, but because of weather conditions and things like that have created much more noise than what one would expect to hear. I don't know, Mr. Bennett, would you be able to describe that? Julie has communicated to me that they have complied with the noise ordinance and in fact had lower decibel readings than what we would have from our stampedes. So I'm not aware of violations of the ordinance.
Yeah, so the complaint that I saw, it seemed like they just used one of the smartphone app to try and measure it, so that could have been off, but it seemed like that had exceeded the limit. And then the other thing they were saying was time, where we had said it needs to be done by 9, but they went beyond the time. I don't know if that's county rule or our rule, but.
Those restrictions that we put in above and beyond the county's 10 p.m., I believe, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, but I can address that issue as well.
Okay, let's have Mr. Bennett talk.
Okay, so first of all, my name is James Bennett. I'm with the Salt Lake County Health Department, and just to let you, I just want to introduce myself. I'm actually your area inspector for the last 10 years, and it's been a privilege to serve with your city staff over that period of time. They've been exemplary. But I am the noise expert for Salt Lake County as well. I've talked with Julie quite a bit about this problem with the Hispanic rodeos that have been occurring over at the rodeo grounds. And I want to let you know that we're not only having this problem here locally within West Jordan, but we're also having the problem over the equestrian park at the Salt Lake County Equestrian Center, which we've been having similar issues with the residents in that area as well. But to your specific point, as far as what the noise regulation specifies, the city code may specify 9 o'clock. The health department regulation specifies a 10 p.m. curfew. In the health department's code, though, we do have a municipal approved exemption, in which case the mayor or the city manager may approve a noise exemption or noise relief to allow for a later curfew, but not allow for a higher decibel level at the event. And that is something that basically the city can take upon themselves if they choose to do so. Now, my understanding, and when you say we're using a smartphone app and such like that, that was actually recommended by myself. NIOSH basically has approved a system where they basically looked at Apple iPhone applications and Android applications and found that there was one particular application that met the standards for NIOSH. If you used an external microphone with your iPhone, that basically would meet a Type 2 sound level meter, and that's basically what Julie is using to determine compliance at the property line where the residents are currently located. During the event, basically, they are not to exceed 60 decibels at the property line. My understanding is that during the couple of the prior events, they have asked them to turn on the music. There's been issues about relocating the bands to other sides of the demolition derby. I have not been directly involved with coming down and actually providing our resources to use our meters, which are a little bit more sophisticated. Or actually looking at event plans to see if there's a better way to do this. My experience, though, tells me that if we try to place music or sound speakers in one location and try to drive all that sound from one source towards a direction, sound travels in straight waves. It's going to reflect off whatever it hits. And in this particular case in the last week, it basically reflected off whether it's the bleachers or a building or whatever, it still impacted the residential area. So I have not looked at the specific details as to how they actually set it up. I took a quick drive over just to kind of see what the arena actually looked like. And you do have some challenges in the sense that the arena is very open. There's a lot of reflective surfaces, there's a lot of aluminum, there's a lot of things that will go against you as far as if you are to try to use noise within that facility. So there are a lot of things that we can take a look at, and a lot of mitigation issues that we can look at, but what it really comes down to is trying to come up with a plan that's going to work best for you overall, and what kind of mitigation efforts and what kind of money can actually be put into it. Is there any specific questions regarding the ordinance itself that I can answer?
Councilmember Hanson?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I happen to be the representative in that district.
Okay.
And I received many, many phone calls, as many on the council did, concerning this. I received a phone call from a gentleman who doesn't live facing Sugar Factory, but lives deep inside the subdivision, and on the phone, I could hear the music. Mm-hmm. So it seems to be louder in their development than it does in the arena. Councilman what's your name? Southworth, went down, and he said it was louder in that residential neighborhood than it was actually in the arena. And these people, they have a valid complaint because if I can hear it in a house way down within the subdivision over the telephone, that is really radiating into that development.
And to be honest with you, I can't make any specific rationale why without looking at how the event was actually set up. Like I said, noise is very reflective. And it's very possible for the stadium to be silent, but if it reflects off the surface in the improper way, it can actually reflect back into the residential areas. Environmental conditions are also something that you have to consider with noise. If there's any wind or any low cloud cover, it can actually reflect off those surfaces. You could face a set of speakers to the north, and actually the music can reflect back to the south and actually be louder to the south than you would even conceive possible. So without knowing exactly what the conditions were for that event, I can't speak to say what actually caused that. But I am willing, as the health department, we are your health department, and we are willing to offer our resources. We're willing to be able to sit down with Julie or the event staff and try to come up with some ideas. And one of the things that has been brought up is that there is no in-house policy as far as how loud these events can occur. That's the number one thing that I asked. How loud can an actual event play inside the arena? And the answer was, we don't have a policy. That would be the very first thing that I would start looking at. Number two is, how late can they play? That's the second thing I would start looking at. 3 is, what kind of events do you want at your arena? And what days do you want to have them on? I have to be very careful here, but the types of events that we're having problems with the equestrian park are actually occurring on Sundays as well, just like the Hispanic rodeos that are occurring here. They happen to be dealing with the same type of culture. And is it a cultural diversity issue? I don't know. I don't want to even go there. But it has been brought to our attention. So my issue basically is to address the noise levels and bring them into compliance and to try to mitigate the problem as well as we can. But I think at some point in time you may need to look at a permanent installation that would actually surround the arena, similar to like going up to Rice Eccles Stadium or Rio Tinto Stadium, where you can actually be in control of your own destiny, your own soundboards, to control an event.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hagan.
You answered one of my questions. So as far as the County Board of Health, which you represent,
correct.
So you have standards of health as far as sound decibels, am I right?
Yes, we do. We have maximum permissible sound levels that are at what are known as type A, B, C, D type properties. And it all depends on what the zoning is. A type A is a single residential, type B is a apartment, condo, type C is a commercial type district, type D is industrial. And we have decibel limit levels between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. that for type A it's 60, type B it's 65, type C it's 70, type D it's 80. And then we have nighttime levels that are also applied, and for a type A you can't exceed 50 after 10 o'clock. Or a type B you can't exceed 55 at night. So it all depends on what the property line is and what time of the day it is.
And, you know, again, because I live in this area, but I have to say to you, this is something I think we need to be careful of, because this is one of our heritage spots. I mean, our rodeo, I've lived here for a lot of years, I've always heard it. You knew it was the 4th of July when you heard the cheers. Mm-hmm. So we want to be careful about losing the aesthetics of what our park and our rodeo stadium's about. But are you willing to come in and help our staff and maybe figure out how we can at least control maybe reservations and maybe levels?
Yeah, the only thing that I can't do is design a system for you. I mean, we would have to contact an acoustical consultant or acoustical engineer to design a system for you. I can bring up ideas. I can offer our resources to take measurements. I can offer my institutional knowledge as far as how noise works and give you some ideas and be available to you. But I can't design a system for you. That's what the experts are for. I mean, that's what those experts are for. Just because I can't take upon the liability in case it doesn't work. Okay.
Councilmember Southworth.
Thank you. I did go in, I don't have a question really, I just have a comment at this point. I don't know if anybody else had questions. Didn't want to get in the way of questions. I did go and listen. I live many miles away from this, not many, but a few miles away. I couldn't hear it, but I heard it was going on, so I went down there and listened, and it was quite loud. And the piece of equipment that Julie was using, I guess that you had recommended, plugged into her device, and I went with her. She took dB readings around, and it was loud. Went through the neighborhoods, could hear the noise in one. You know, it's interesting. One street, like you're saying, it's clear, very clear and loud. 2 streets over, and I can hardly hear it. You know, just how the sound traveled. But that wasn't the point I wanted to make. The point I wanted to make was I really have a concern with in West Jordan we have a lean staff. That's just a fact. We really run lean. And we are spreading our staff pretty thin as it is. And then to ask them, Julie works 7 days a week, I don't know if that's fair. And I would entertain a policy change where we shut down these facilities 1 day a week, whether it be Sunday or what have. I think Sunday's a great day. We shut that down. The other reason, too, is from a policy perspective, is we were really impacting. Our rodeo runs on weekends. And so if I'm kept up late on a Friday night and a Saturday night, well, most likely, not everybody, most likely I'll have to get up and go to work tomorrow, and kids don't have to go to school, and that's not a big deal. On a Sunday, it's a little bit different. And so from a policy perspective, from those two there, and we come up with other reasons, there are other things too, but I just think we need to look at our use policies and maybe say that facility and the others maybe need a day of rest when it comes to the end of the week, and we're not spreading we're going to kill Julie, quite frankly. And it wasn't just Julie. Some of our parks department there, I saw police officers and fire department. Now, they had their own security, but we still had to have officers there. So I would just suggest that.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Going beyond the immediate question of the noise and going to what Councilmember Southworth mentioned about discussing the use policy, I would definitely be in favor of that. I've been made aware of some of the issues after some of these events where there's just been an immense amount of garbage, trash, cans, things like that left behind, creating an awful lot of work for staff. And even the dirt in that facility is special dirt for the rodeo. We put a lot of money into that, and to see it just cans every 2-3 feet, aluminum cans mashed into it, I would be very much in favor of directing staff to bring back in a future council meeting discussion about the potential changes to the use policy. As far as the noise, like I mentioned earlier, that I'd like to see if we're violating what was already out there. You mentioned no, we're not. So I'd be happy to hear other potential solutions for what we might be able to do to mitigate that. But absolutely, to Councilmember Southworth's comment, I'd like to revisit the use policy, especially for this facility.
I just want to make something clear. From my perspective, this isn't a cultural issue, although there is this underlying factor that you do have cultural clashes in here. You can't deny that. But I would want to throw that out, too. If we say that maybe a Sunday or whatever this day where we give the staff a break or we don't have these sort of things, then maybe these events move to a Saturday. And there's still going to be that noise pollution. And that's just something we have to accept. And we have a facility like this, and we openly want to use it. We have it, let's use it. Let's have our own rodeos, and we have the Pioneer Day celebrations, and the 4-H uses it, and the Salt Lake County, their horse group uses it. All these groups use it. That's still going to happen. So, maybe it moves from a Sunday to a Saturday, but I just want people to know that there's still going to be use. And so we expect that probably will still be some noise.
Thanks for that report. Did you have okay.
So, Mayor, if there's no objection, what staff will do is work with Mr. Bennett. We'll come with some options and kind of make it an a la carte where we can give some recommendations of different types of things, and we'll just let you kind of pick from the choices and give us direction of where you think we can test things out and try it. Now, we do have currently, Julie indicated in her memo that she already has 3 reservations right now in the months of May and June. And she also informed me that she's had requests for at least 2 or 3 more events. We obviously can work to try to cooperate with these people, to ask them to diminish their noise and do some things and work with Mr. Bennett on the ones that are reserved. Do we want to, at this point in time, stop all other reservations until such time as we can come up with some better plans and use policies? And I think we can deny them based on the fact that it's causing problems, and we'll find out what we can do with these current 3 to mitigate as much as possible. And please communicate to your constituents that we will make our best efforts to mitigate these problems. 2 of them are on Sunday, 1 is on a Saturday of those 3. So we will expedite bringing you back something.
Councilmember Hanson.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I had talked with Darian and Julie about this at our budget meeting last night, and Darian was saying to Councilman McConaughey's question that we do have a policy about cleaning up after yourself. And if you don't, you're not allowed back in the arena.
Yes.
If we have to clean up after you, then you're not allowed to use our arena again.
Yes, and Brian Clegg would be more than happy to explain that while the pictures right after the event are disappointing and discouraging, I think the words he used is they cleaned up beyond the expected or beyond what it was when they started. And so we hold a deposit during the event, and we can hold that deposit to help with cleaning. Brian, you indicated that our staff did not have to spend any time, so.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll do that. And then, Mayor, I just had one more item.
Councilmember Southwood had one more question.
Sorry, I know I said I already commented here. I didn't want to be all down here. What I saw, and I said there was a cultural differences, but what I saw also was kind of a neat event. We talk about using our facilities, the economic impact. We have a soccer complex, and we want to use that and this rodeo to bring people in our city. And that's what happened. That was a good thing. I saw a family event where families were involved, and it was a really neat thing. Just this impact to our city resources and the community. I think we could work out a compromise that works, but there were some really neat things taking place in our city, and that has to be recognized as well. This is not all, you don't want to be negative here. It was a neat event. Thanks.
Yes,
if I may make a comment, it will be difficult for us to mitigate any problems without any events occurring at the arena. So I would be caution if we cancel the events, we won't be able to fix what's not happening.
Right.
Because we can't have a real life event.
I anticipate that we will have 3 events, one on May 23rd, 24th, and the 14th, that right now it appears those will still go on. We will work with them, and they've been very cooperative from what Julie and Brian have indicated. As we've said, can you please turn it down, things like that. So that would give us an opportunity to experiment and work with some things during those events. We will just not allow any of the other proposed reservations that have been suggested until we have some more firm policy.
Okay. And I'm always available to appear before you at your request. So,
thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Tonight.
And then I just have one more, Mayor. We received information from Salt Lake County. And Mayor, I know this came to you, and I wasn't sure when you were going to propose it, but it was relating to this new annexation law and township law that the county informed us, Sandy, and South Jordan that there's a parcel of land, and I believe I provide that information for you, and they're just saying, are any of the cities going to try to annex this land during this upcoming election? It would have to be put on the ballot. I just had given you information that because the piece of property that has 5 or 6 homes on it is not served on a street that we maintain, it didn't seem practical that we would try to pursue that. Are you okay if we just allow some other city, or would you like us to still?
Councilmember Hanson.
I'm really well acquainted with Forby Lane. I did the annexation for the west part of it. The portion that they're talking about is only access through South Jordan. The late Gene Fulmer owns the property directly east of that will probably want to be developed in the near future, and the only access to that is through South Jordan. So they get their water from South Jordan, they get their public safety through South Jordan. So I feel that if anyone annexes it, it should be South Jordan and not us.
Anyone opposed to?
We'll just not do anything on that. Thank you.
Hey Bryce, there is, did they mention that there's a corner in the very northwest corner of the city that is an island of the county as well? Did they mention that one?
We've not received any communication, Mayor. Have you?
No.
Okay. And I think the reason this was because it's actually an island. So these other ones that are on the outer edges, I think we'll have to handle differently. So we'll work with our land use folks on how to address those.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Acting City Attorney? Anything tonight? Economic Development Director.
Yes, we've in preparation for the ICSC conference, which will take place next week, we've arranged a series of meetings. So those who will be in attendance, bring some good walking shoes. It's going to be a long day, long Monday. That's my report.
Thank you. Do you have a schedule for that?
I do. We're still getting a few meetings trickling in right now, so I'll get you a hard copy of that as soon as we feel it's...
Just by Friday is fine.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Finance Manager? Public Works Director?
Yes, 3 items. We wanted to give you an update on where we're at with the design and bidding of the construction project for the subdivision storm drainage system that's just north of Constitution Park. The project is out to bid right now. We will be receiving bids on May 26th and coming to you on June 10th with a proposed award of that project. And we'd start construction right after that. The engineer's estimate for that project is $1.2 million. Second item is also stormwater related. We wanted to remind you about the stormwater open house that we're having. It'll be held next Thursday night, the 21st of May, starting at 6 p.m. at the Constitution Park Pavilion, which is on 3200 West, 70th South. So we've prepared a number of exhibits. We'll talk about what we're doing to address the issue, have some of our equipment there, and be able to answer questions that the residents might have.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. And Wendell, with regard to that open house, I mentioned this to other employees earlier, but if it'd be helpful, there's a couple folks I know who'd be more than willing to help distribute flyers to the neighborhood. So if there's something, please let me know and I'll get that out. If there's not, we'll put something together, just so that we can make as many people as possible aware so that they'll be out there.
Okay. The last thing is we went before the Corridor Preservation Committee a couple weeks ago, and we're able to convince them that the project, or a piece of property that is owned by Ivory on 5600 West, south of 78 South, that we should receive money for that. We received a proposal to obtain $246,000 to purchase that piece of property. So that's the last piece of property, as I understand it, for the piece of 5600 West between 78 South and south of there. I wanted to thank Dave Murphy, David Clements, Maureen for all the work that they did there. Thank you.
Thanks. Chief Sharma?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I just want to report back tonight that we have received our rating from the Insurance Service Office. That's the ISO rating that you hear referred to for fire departments. This actually reflects fire department, our dispatch center, and the water utility side of Public Works. They are integral to the final number. Our rating in the past was a 4. We have moved to a 3. And the actual technical number that we have, given a change in their system, is a 3/3X. And this split rating that they give now is based upon the first number being those properties that are within 5 road miles of a fire station and within 1,000 feet of a creditable water supply. The second number goes to within 5 road miles of a fire station, but beyond 1,000 feet. This was really done across the country because you had some places where a fire department had a strong city area that they serviced well, and then more outlying rural homes, and so the number never really fit one or the other. So they've now split it. But if you're asked, we are a 3X.
Thank you. Chief Diamond.
Just want to report back to the council. Some of you were there, but we had our open house and had our new station dedicated in essence, and it was a very good open house on Friday or on Thursday. We had probably in the neighborhood between 75 and 100 people there. On Saturday, we had probably a little over 150 or so people. And so it was a good opportunity for us to meet the public, for them to come and see the new fire station and police substation. And it was just a really good event. So thank you for being there, and thanks for those of you who've stopped by since. Thanks.
I heard you rappelled head first. Is that a true statement? I wasn't there when you did that.
Yeah, I did.
And we got a picture of it, I hope, somewhere.
Somebody got a picture of it.
Okay.
I'm trying to pay Reed not to publish it.
Thanks. Parks Director.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. I just want to give an update on the seasonal hiring status. As of the second week of June, we should be fully staffed. We've stopped running the ad for the seasonal posting. What I'm here tonight is to ask, I'm allotted 34 seasonals. I'm asking if I could bring on 6 to 7 more to help us out and get ahead of the game because we're so far behind on park maintenance. My budget will allow that. There's not going to be any problem with budget. I just want to get your guys' feedback on that.
Anyone against helping the parks? You're good to go.
Great, thanks. Also, if you folks are getting complaints, we started mowing, maintaining. We're starting on the east side of town. Monday we'll be on the west side of town with crews. So just if you get complaints, if you could kind of give them the status of that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can I just quickly say thank you for all you do with limited staff and equipment.
Councilmember Rice.
Nothing at this time, Mayor. Thanks.
Councilmember Southwood.
Just wanted to say I was not able to make it to the public safety open house, the fire station, the police station. It was over at the arena helping with the Eagle project. We painted over a half mile of rail over there, covered in paint, and had a good time. I didn't make it, but my wife and kids did, and they had just an incredible time. She came back very impressed with the facility and the people, and so thank you to the men and women that serve public safety and what you've come up with and what you've done and how you conduct yourself. So thank you.
Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to defer my comments if I could to the end of the meeting. I just have a couple of administrative items if we could just wrap that up at the end.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thanks, Mayor. The first thing I have actually has to do with my own backyard. And I more of a request to the staff. It's being proposed that zoning be changed on the commercial site where Golden Corral is. That's the best way to describe it. And of course, my neighbors asked me to come to planning and zoning, and we didn't have a fire marshal there, and so it was still passed unanimously. But one thing I'd like to ask the staff is, one of the proposals they have, or the proposal they have is to put carports in a development agreement that was approved 14 years ago. And whether that passes or not will be up to this council body next council meeting. But there is a carport already installed that actually violates the development agreement. And what I'd like to do is see if we have at least made notice to the owner of the property that violation, because for them to put that carport there now violates the codes that they're trying to change now. So if you would do that for me, I'd appreciate it. That'll be on our agenda in a public hearing in 2 weeks. So then the other thing, Mayor, is, I would like, I think we've concluded that we've hired some legal assistance, and I'd like to get some direction on when a council member of this body, when they are threatened with legal action, at what point does the city defend them? And what that means is, if the councilman needs an attorney and they hire their own attorney, or even a staff member, if they come after us personally, is the city going to stand by us? At this point, I don't think we have a policy that supports council members that way, and even our staff, in my opinion. And so I'd like to see if I can get a recommendation from staff, some kind of policy that we can discuss as a council body on how we as council members are protected personally and as a council elected official. Thank you.
Councilmember Hanson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm again just going to talk a little bit about the rodeo grounds. I don't believe this was cultural at all. I think that it was just the noise more than anything, and I do feel bad for the residents due to the fact that they were there and we moved the arena. And so we moved it closer to a residential development. And one of the persons I know that was involved in this does not live on Sugar Factory, but did use an iPhone decibel, and we had I met with Julie and with Dorian, and we decided we'd hold it at 60, and it was at 78 at the time they tried it. So that was above what we were asking them to do. So I really would like us to make a policy on what decibel we're going to have there, and how we're going to choose what facilities we're going to allow to be there. I'm not speaking against the one that has been there. I'm just asking that we consider the neighbors also with the noise. Thank you.
Councilman McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Given the time and the fact that we've had some folks waiting for an hour and a half to get to citizen comments, I think I'll follow suit of Councilmember Nichols and withhold my comments to the remarks section at the end of the meeting.
And I will do the same. So we will move to the citizens' comments. I have several signed up to speak tonight. Remember, you have 3 minutes to speak on the subject. And Barbara Bachman and Pam Markison.
Well, this is kind of a really exciting meeting for us. We've waited 7 years to get here. It's been a long wait. My comment is we need to have you guys approve option 3. We feel that that's the best option for the houses that are involved with the most severe damage from the floods. And it's not necessarily just Constitution Park. We realize that there's other little hot spots in the city. So at this time, I would like to thank you for voting to keep the $4 million in the storm drain fund so you guys can start doing these things to eliminate the problems that we've experienced. We're really, truly grateful. Also, I'd like to thank the council for their genuine shock on their face when I showed them the pictures back in October of what happens to Victor's house. I'm just we passed out the pictures again to remind you of what that really looked like. The storm drain, I'd like to also thank Wendell for all his hard work on a master plan with the city to get this all resolved city-wise. And I'd also like to thank his ground crew guys for helping keep water off of our properties the best that they could with the equipment and with everything that was there. And I'd also like to thank Bryce Hatterley and Justin Stoker. They have personal integrity. They have been instrumental in helping us try to resolve. We've only wanted to resolve with the city and try to make some kind of agreement with getting this all fixed. And so I'd like to thank them. And I'd also like to thank the committee that has put together these proposals for you all to vote on. We're so excited about this. You all know our story. You know Victor and Patty. The pictures that you see, and this is for Sophie's benefit when she sees it because she's new to this. The backflow grate, top picture. The house flooding, it was the second time it flooded in 2011 when UDK had just barely pulled off. Another thunder had moved in. And before we could get it all sandbagged and under control, it had flooded 3 times like that in 2011. Then I'm going to fast forward to 2014. That was a 4 a.m. storm when kind of the berm failed a little bit and we were underwater again. That's when I met Mr. Hatterley. And we talked and started kind of a process of what do I do? Who do I talk to? And he was very gracious. And I am really impressed with the fact that he and Justin Stoker have treated us with such respect when we honestly, I felt like I was going to tear my hair out all the time. So I've really been appreciative of them. The last picture that you'll see is a picture that I pulled from Google. Now, you know if you're going to buy a house, it's your biggest investment. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to Google that address. I Googled it and I was stunned. There they are, big as life. Sandbags everywhere. So it kind of makes it difficult until all of these things are in place. The home is secured. So Victor really is committed. He can't do anything with this house until everything's completed. So if this is a 4-year process, there it is. He doesn't. He now lives in Montana, which you know, and we have tenants in there. He cannot move forward with his life until this is all completed. I also Googled findthehome.com and looked at that address, and there it is. Natural disaster risk. This neighborhood's high flood risk is higher than average for West Jordan. So all of these things are going to haunt these kids for at least 4 more years. Council, the one thing that I would ask you, when you vote for whatever option it is that you're going to vote for, I want you to remember these homes that were in peril, these homes, they could have been your kids' homes. They could have been your home. They could have been any one of your family's homes. In our case, it was our kids as were the moms. Okay. Was that 5 minutes? Oh, I'm so sorry. All we've ever asked is that you secure our homes. That's all. And I just want to say one more quick thing. I read a book a long time ago and it said when you're dealing with people, all you ever have to know about life, you learned in kindergarten. And it's true. We're all on the same playground. I just want to know that we're good to each other, that we take care of each other. We do the right thing.
I'm sorry, I can't allow any longer. I apologize.
But we're just asking to have the kids taken care of and the rest of a handful of homes. And we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks. Alexandra Ephraimo.
Mayor and Council. Ladies and I want to pause for a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, may we pause for a moment to reflect upon our common goals before we begin the business of this meeting. We are privileged to gather here together in a system that gives us freedom to participate in our own governance, whether from within or through the strength provided by our personal faiths. We seek wisdom, understanding, fairness, and resolve in the fulfillment of our duties and in the pursuance of our goals. May our differences be respected and our common aspiration of promoting the public good be our guide in carrying out the tasks we're about to undertake. Thank you. I'm 82 years old, and my parents were born in Belarus, Russia. And I don't think there's another country that an individual of that area can come and talk to a body such as we have at West Jordan Council. So I do count all my blessings, but I want to say on April 29th, one of the members of the council, in my opinion, I've been coming here off and on for 20 years, and one of the members of West Jordan Council, in my opinion, behaved shamefully. I was embarrassed for the city. I am asking that particular council person to please apologize to the city of West Jordan, to the council, to everybody that lives here in West Jordan. I found that it was abominable. The council person knows who it is, or he or she is. So I'm expecting a public apology, because I think the behavior of, in 20 years, I've never seen a council person behave in that manner. And I'm embarrassed. I'm almost asking for the resignation of that council person if they don't apologize to the city. I thought it was abominable. When I come here, I'm counting my blessings. I am counting my blessings. It's like a college credit. I love to come here. I love to intake all of what is going on. But what happened on April 29th is totally unacceptable. I pay taxes. I've lived here 20 years, and I expect that person to apologize. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Jones?
Council, my name is Steve Jones. I live at 3234 West, 6920 South. I got to admit, I was going to unload a little bit, but I think I'm going to temper my comments. As a resident of West Jordan, I don't like reading in the paper that we have issues. That does not reflect upon me well. I don't like, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't like backbiting, and I don't like dishonesty. I expect our council to do what they were elected to do. I expect them to do it with respect and with integrity. As far as issues with Mr. Davis, that is one issue that I can say honestly sticks in my craw. I don't know what happened. I don't know what goes on other than what I read. But I don't like it. I don't think it was correct, and it just grinds me. I think there's an issue tonight talking about ethics. And I'm not saying that anybody's been unethical, but I think it's well that we have a policy that governs and gives us insight as to how we are to conduct ourselves. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's we need guidance at times. So I would strongly suggest, if we do not have that in West Jordan, that we review it and put something in place so that we have guidelines so that there's no miscommunication. How things are perceived are a big deal. Transparency seems to be the politically correct word to say nowadays, but it does have some validity. I expect that our city council that represents me will be transparent. And I got to say, as a general rule, in these meetings and whatnot I've been coming to, I've met each one of you at different times, and I do appreciate you. I appreciate the jobs that you do, but I really do not care to be reading about things that I don't think are pertinent to running the city of West Jordan. Now, maybe there's some issues that need to be resolved legally and whatever. That's what we have a legal system for, is to resolve those. But I do not expect that we'll be going with the let's see who can stab who in the back type thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Michael Madsen?
Thanks for this opportunity to come before you. I just wanted to talk briefly about our water policies for watering and everything that's a hot topic for the state, the county, and the city. So recently I've read an article in the paper and online that it talked about the county stressing the fact that we need to limit our water uses as residents. However, on Saturday, we all know that it rained quite a bit, and as I was coming home from the New Bingham Highway from Copper Hills to 4800 South, I don't know that whether or not the city owns that strip of land just north of the road that runs along there, that sidewalk area, or if that's something that's maintained by her, however it works, but it sure looks like it's something that's very similar to what we have here at Veterans Park along the way. But those sprinklers were running at the same time as it was downpouring. And so I'm simply asking our city, because we as residents are being asked to take more precautionary measures to limit our water usage, that we as a city, hopefully we can be the example for our county and our other peers of the city and also for the state on those recommendations that Salt Lake County is asking us to do. So I feel that as a resident, that if I'm being asked to do something by the state or the county or our city, that each governing body would do the same appropriate thing. So if we could also, I don't have connections like you do to those people in the county or those people in the state, but also if they're not following those procedures, if you could please voice your concern over that, because that's something that concerns me. So appreciate your time and thank you.
Thank you. Kim Ratcliffe?
Mayor, Council, appreciate your service, appreciate your time. My name is Kim Ratcliffe. I live at 1886 West, 8250 South. That's right by the rodeo grounds. That's what I'm here to talk about. Much of what I came to talk about has already been discussed, but as a resident of the area and going through these events, I think I might have a little different perspective on it. The last event, we were all using smartphone apps, which accuracy I'm not sure of. We had one resident who lives in Sugar Creek condos right behind the track sound wall that got an 87 inside his house. Things were falling off of their knickknacks were falling off of their cupboards. Me, I live one road in off of Sugar Factory Road. We were getting 78s and 80s. We could not sit in our backyard and have a conversation. It was you couldn't do it. Go in the house, shut the doors, turn something on to listen to. You had to turn it quite loud. You really did. And I've lived there for 26 years in the same place. And the rodeos and the events that go on there, we expect that. We expect that. In fact, as residents, as longtime residents there, we look forward to some of these events. We feel like we're at the event, even though we're not. and it's a city event, and we're proud of the city, and we want it. We want these events to happen. But in the case of the last few events, I think our council member Hanson, I contacted her on the previous event, the one before this last one, and she spoke with Julie, and they came back with some numbers. 9 o'clock, be packing up, 60 decibels by the time it hits the houses. Well, it's obvious that it wasn't that. And with the last event, I guess they were called or told in person to turn it down, and you could hear it go down. And within, I don't know, I don't want to state an amount of time, but a certain amount of time, it was back up. There were 2 distinct increases after the first time that they were told to turn it down. Anyway, Council, I ask you to act on this. And, the Sunday events, I agree with Council Member Southworth on policy. On maybe Sundays. Sundays are when most of us can spend time with our family, can spend some relaxing time in our backyards, whether it be a barbecue or just sit and relax and talk as a family or with friends. And it's impossible when these things are going on. The 4th of July events and stuff we expect. But the rest of it, we would really appreciate it if the council could come up with some policy and act on these things. And again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Scott Matthews?
Scott Matthews, thank you for your time. Oscar Saldana. We apologize in advance. We're the ones that organized the first Hispanic, or Jaripeo as they call them, at the arena. We worked very closely with Julie, and we're very appreciative of being able to work with the city. It was a great event. It was successful by every means, and we just wanted to address some of those things. I was hoping to be able to address that earlier, but really quickly, on Sunday, that's kind of the time when a lot of Hispanics will get together for a Sunday event. In this process, working with the city, working with the fire department, everything has been really well. We would like to address some of the issues that come with the sound. And at the last event, May 3rd, I worked very closely with Julie. I was personally at the controls of the console, and I said, this is not to go above this. And I was in constant communication with Julie. Maybe in some of the different areas it might have been louder, even as the gentleman from the health department may have described. It may have been refracting and going in different places with regards to the sound. So after the event, my background is audio design and engineering. I've been in the broadcast industry for close to 30 years now. And instead of putting almost a moratorium on doing future events, I would propose that maybe what we do is we do a distributive sound system where instead of having one giant sound system, maybe what we could do is do a smaller sound system but in more places. That way it would reduce a lot of the initial sound dampening would occur with each one of the people present in the arena. And that might be a good solution which we could approach. As part of the event organizer, it was a privilege working with the city, from everybody from, like I said, the police department to Julie, who's the event coordinator and everything else. And I would love to even have maybe work with some of the concerned citizens on some of these events. But the other events that are planned are not ours, just so you know. But maybe approach it in that manner where we use a smaller sound system but more of them. That way we can bring those decibel readings down to where they need to be at 60, be able to address the concerns of the citizens, but yet still be able to continue some of these events as the arena and the size of the arena is perfect for the crowds in the Hispanic community that we've been going after. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's very accommodating. And thank you very much for your time. Oscar, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. First of all, we would like to apologize to the people for the inconvenience that we brought to them, to their homes. It's unfortunate. We really try to make this event good for everybody, And it was awesome. It was an awesome event. We had a large attendance. The reason of these events taking place on Sundays, most of the Latin American countries, Mexico, everybody from Mexico, the Sunday is our biggest day. Sunday is our family day. That's when you grab your wife, your kids, and you take them to the show, to the movies, to wherever. And so these events, why we've been so successful with these events is we try to make them as traditional, as original as we can. We had over 3,000 people come out. These people felt like they went back to Mexico for, half a day Sunday here. And it was very good. It was great for everybody. The family had a good time, the kids. It was awesome. It is very unfortunate that this caused inconvenience for some of the neighbors and for some of the residents in the area. I attended the previous one, and I saw where they had set up their sound system. So I figure maybe if we went to the south end of it, and we would, go towards the north where the park is in those areas, it would maybe make things, better. Obviously, it wasn't better. We really try to control the sound on our event. We were checking things. Julie Brown was present for a lot of the time. We want to work with you guys, and we're not here to cause problems for anybody. We want to continue having these events. If we need to, we can change that to a Saturday. We're just trying to work with you guys. This is kind of I've done many events before, and we've never had issues with the noise. Every time it's been good. But again, the area here, you've got residents that are close by. The sound, travels everywhere, and so it's kind of out of our control. But we're definitely interested in meeting with your city manager and going over things. If we need to make any changes on our part, we'll be happy to do it, and we want to work with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on an item in citizens' comment? Please come forward. Please state your name and address.
Jalen Thomas, 1348 West Spartan Hollow Drive. Looks like two other people stole my thunder about April 29th. I am disgusted with you. I think it's ridiculous that you get up there and you discuss the council policies and procedures when the person who is discussing it is one of the worst offenders. And you guys are all guilty of something. And all of you should probably study Section A about mutual respect. Respect for your staff and the citizens you represent. There's also uttering disparaging personal remarks. Let's go back to what I discussed on February 8th. For example, women voters come out to vote when we think there is a woman or there is a woman on the ballot. At this point in time, I would like to congratulate Judy Hansen and Sophie Rice for winning the November election, because that's apparently how we do things. So let's go on with inappropriate sense of humor. I don't know if you were trying to say something funny, but calling the fire chief a good Indian? Seriously? You said that. But he's a chief as well. Why don't you build the community and the individuals? Work to resolve your differences instead of doing the backbiting that you all do. Mostly, some of you more guilty than others. Let's talk about ethics and efficiency. Accessible government, cooperative government. That would be interesting to see with you guys. Responsible government. You're talking about having an ethical conduct. Okay. Who's going to enforce that? At this point in time with you people, the gate has been closed and the cows have left the field. So who is going to enforce that? Are you guys going to start following under section C, 13, values of respect. I'd like to see that because it would be really entertaining to see. I would probably be shocked that you guys are behaving appropriately. But, you know, you guys are out of control. And you need to start acting like elected officials and do your job. And I was going to pass this out, but the whole thing probably would have been yellowed out. So that's why I kind of just touched on key points.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak at this time? Please come forward. I hate to keep repeating myself, but name and address, please.
You all know my name, except our new Sophie Rice. My name is Brenda Thomas. I'm at 6876 South, 3235 West. I was not going to speak today because my emotions are on my sleeve. But I would like to remind you, and thank you. Oh, thank you. It's been negative, and I'm sure there's things we need to fix. I feel that way. But I want to look at the positive, because if we don't look at the positive, we're not going to go anywhere. So that's where I'm trying to stand. I have been grateful to see the people in my neighborhood, Mayor, trying to figure out this flood situation. Sophie, my house has been flooded many times. I have a downward driveway that I saved my neighbors from flooding. My home goes underwater. I've been frustrated at one point of I have accepted that I am responsible for everything that's been ruined in my life. Many times. My hard point is me giving the city money for a permit to fix my life. It's like I am being hurt all over again. So when I see the grant coming up, I've read some of the things quickly. Thank you, Chris, for posting. I only saw that a little after 6. So I haven't read it in great detail. But I'm excited to see the grant and see things that can help me, like maybe not paying for a permit and thinking, here again, the city wants more of my stuff. So my only thing is, can we please get rid of the red tape? We've waited a long time. I just want to fix my house, make my own island, and move on with my life. So if we can please move on forward, I thank you for working for us. I have seen that. I have individuals have taken the time to speak with me. I haven't always been happy. Sometimes there's not communication. That's sometimes a human thing. I'm going to leave out there. But if we can, please, the staff behind council, please unite together. Sometimes I talk to the council, but I feel like sometimes they're puppets because they come to you. And we have to wait for what you say. I'm tired of that. We need to work together. I need to get done. I need my house fixed. I need my island so I feel secure and I can move on and I can support you on other things. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak at this time? Seeing no one, I will close the citizens' comments portion of the agenda and move to item 7, consent items. Councilmember Haga.
Yeah, Mayor, can I pull F, G, and I?
F, G, I. Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve consent items A through F.
Including A.
Or for E. What did you say? If I missed the F. Disregard. I must have missed what he wanted to pull. Somebody else make the motion, please.
I would move to approve items A through E as well as H.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion of the motion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Rice? Aye. Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Mayor Rawl?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Item 8A, public hearing item. Receive public input and consider for approval ordinance 15-08, amending the 2009 West Jordan Municipal Code, section 13-7C-6, amendments to the land use map, finding B in the general plan, amendment findings in the zoning ordinance, citywide applicability, City of West Jordan.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. This item came before you back in March, and at that time I think you received the presentation, so unless you'd like a refresher course, I can, or a little refresher, I can go ahead and just kind of fast forward and just kind of tell you where we've been from the time you last heard it till now, so whichever you'd like.
I think go ahead and move forward.
Okay, thanks. What the city council referred this item back to the planning commission and asked the planning commission to rework it or give a recommendation back to the city council. The planning commission did take quite a bit of time on this item. We went back and forth. I think there were 5 members that were on the planning commission in that evening. And they had forwarded a positive recommendation in a 3-2 vote to simply remove finding B from the list of general plan findings. The reason that they did that is that they felt that the remaining findings were adequate to cover what the city's what's in the city's best interest. As we see it, the staff did, before the planning commission, we came up with some alternative language to finding B. We did include that, I think, in your packets. So as we looked at this, I think there are 3 options that we want to take a look at. First of all, let's just remove it as recommended by the planning commission. The second would be just to modify the text, and I do have a copy of that modification that staff forwarded to you. Or just simply leave it as it is, and we just address each item as it comes forward to the planning commission.
Questions? Councilmember Southwood.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you had it. Looks like you do. Yeah. But let me make sure we're clear. We sent this back to the planning commission with, take a shot at rewording this, but they were not able to come up with, is that correct?
Correct.
A reworded version, so we're sending it back. So you've, as staff, have taken a shot at rewording. Is that what we're looking at?
We took a shot at rewording that. We took that rewording to the planning commission, and the planning commission worked through that language, but still recommended that it just be removed.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Comments? Okay, we'll open the public hearing portion then.
Thanks.
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 8A? Now would be the time. Please.
Steve Jones, 3234 West, 6920 South. I voted opposition to removing this, and I still have that feeling. I find it interesting that the remarks we get says that all the rest of the items cover this item B, but yet it's item B that causes us to rethink our decision. That's what I said last time was, I like it when it makes you rethink. I like it that it's not easy. I still firmly believe that this needs to remain. If we need to tweak the verbiage, which, as far as I'm concerned, the Planning Commission had their chance to do that, and they did not, so leave it as it is and let them address it each time it happens. The reason I feel this way is because when I look at item E, since I've been coming to these city council meetings, and I know it can be kind of somewhat skewed because you're only seeing the changes that are coming through, not everything going on, but I see a lot of asking to put in these high-density complexes, looking for changes to do that. I am not a high-density complex individual. I don't like it. And when I look at item E, every one of those high-density facilities pretty much impacts the public infrastructure, but yet I am required to pay for it. I don't have any sympathy for developers. They come in, they do their thing, they get out, they get their money, and we're left with the burden. I can name you countless things that we've talked about in the council meeting over the last 7 or so months that I've been coming, and every one of them has an infrastructure issue. Also, going down the line, we even had a presentation about water conservation, and I still fail to see how, if I have 4 homes in an acre, how that uses more water than 12 families in that same acre. It just doesn't add up to me. So, that being said, I think you need to leave item B in there. Let the Planning Commission use it as it sees fit with oversight so that we get what we're supposed to get, and that's what's in the city plan. That's what plans are for. We shouldn't be changing at a whim. I know that people have property rights, and that's always a delicate issue, but nonetheless, these builders know what they're buying when they buy it. They're not buying a pig in a poke. They're buying it with the intent to change and leaving us with infrastructure issues that right now our stormwater issue is directly related to those kind of issues. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address this public hearing item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and look to the council for a motion. Councilmember Southworth.
I would move to table this item indefinitely.
I'll second that. So we have a motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Mayor Rolfe. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. Though I support the motion to table, I would also be in favor of an alternative motion that we bring in the alternative language that's on the last page, page 27 of the packet, that read, applicants demonstrated an awareness of all other locations in the city where the general plan's land use map currently provides for the type of land use proposed by the applicant, and has demonstrated that such other locations are economically or physically impractical for the proposed use or not reasonably available to the applicant. I'd be okay with that verbiage, or I think that's a little more clear than what we have, but at the same time, I would also be okay tabling this. I would not support removing this.
So, was that a substitute motion, or you were just making a comment?
It was a comment to the motion that I would support, but I would also support this. But if we're going to table it and have further discussion later, I would like to see this part of that as part of that later discussion.
Okay, so the original motion's on the table.
Would it be acceptable? I would like to keep the language that we have, and then we can bring this back if we decide as a body at a later point to do so. So I would think I'd leave the motion as is, and then we can have a discussion internally here if we want to, as a council, if this is something we want to do. But I think I'd leave that at this point.
Further discussion? Seeing none? Let's vote.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice? Yes. Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson? Yes. Vote passes 7 in favor.
Public hearing item 8D, receive public input and consider for approval the fiscal year 2015-2016 41st year Community Development Block Grant Home and Programs Income Fund. Chuck.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'll try to get through this without too much coughing. This week's been tough with the sinus. But most of you guys that sit on my committee over the years, there's a couple of council members which hadn't participated yet, but will get their opportunities and all. Our process is a pretty good process where we have basically 4 meetings every year with all the applicants, allow them to come in, discuss their projects with us. It's more of a one-on-one session with the committee, and they get about 20 minutes to come in, explain their programs, answer questions for the committee, and then we come back to City Council and make recommendations to you guys. Council member, or ex-council member Stoker participated this year. I believe he gave the council an update before he left office a month or so ago. Anyway, this year we did receive a little increase of $7,057 over last year's budget. And then when we combine that with our allocation this year, $541,216, $40,000 from our housing rehab loan program, and $23,000 that we're going to carry over from last year, we have $583,516 to allocate this year. Most of the agencies which submitted requests for funding this year actually ended up getting basically the same amounts that they got last year, and actually a couple of them got increases. So really there's no one this year that didn't get funded in the past taking a reduction or anything. You have the recommendations in front of you. South Valley Sanctuary is $15,000. Legal aids, $12,000. Family support for the crisis nursery, $7,000. The road homes, $12,000. The community action emergency food pantry in Midvale, $6,000. Community health centers, $5,000. The Boys and Girls Club, which operates the Heartland After School program, received $10,000, so they got $500 less than last year. The YWCA saw a little increase this year from $5,000 to the $66.96. Big Brothers and Big Sisters actually got a big increase of about $2,000 this year. And with Sandy Counseling, they hadn't spent all of their monies from last year, and that's where we'll carry over the $2,300 into this fiscal year instead of giving them extra money and them not spending it next year. Wasatch Front Regional Council, we always pay our membership fees from CDBG, $35.77. Assist with our emergency home repair program and access improvement program. We're increasing them $10,000 this year up to $90,000. And this is money they spend probably, they could actually spend it within 9 months of the 12 months. So it won't be any problem there. Community Action Program on the financial literacy program wasn't a proposal that they were fully prepared for, so committee recommended no funding for it. AAA Fair Credit for financial counseling. Linda has left that agency, and so there was no funding approved for them. As usual, the City of West Jordan takes 20% out for administration, staff costs, planning costs, and things of these nature. Housing rehab, like I said, we've set aside $40,000 every year, but the funds that we don't spend remains in the revolving loan program and just carries over from year to year. Home buyer assistance, down payment assistance, we usually fund at $100,000 every year and come pretty close to spending that every year. Section 108 loan program to pay for the West Jordan Senior Citizen Center, $154,879 this year. We will have that loan paid off in 2019, so your senior center will be free and clear at that point. Contingency, we had $27.25 left, just to hold in there for any emergencies or anything that comes up. All of the dollars that are spent and allocated into the CDBG program are spent 100% on low to moderate income persons, residents of West Jordan, regardless of where the location of the facility is, whether it's in Salt Lake, Midvale, West Valley. Each client has to document and detail all the information on that person from West Jordan that they're an eligible low-income resident. So every dollar that's spent in the program for programs goes to 100% to low-mod people, whether it's for home purchase, counseling services, the food bank, any of these activities. And that's basically shortened to the point of the recommendations this year. We have several agencies here tonight, and I'd just like for them to come up, introduce themselves, say the agency they're with, and then if there's specific questions from the council, we would like to get that from you also. And just one last comment, and this is part of our five-year consolidated planning process. And every year that we do this program, we have to rewrite a one-year action plan, how we want to spend the money and everything. And that's up for approval tonight also.
Councilmember Southworth.
Hey, Chuck. In the past, if I recall correctly, didn't we have a line item there for ADA ramp replacements or?
Yes, we did.
We did, and I don't see that this year. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have some money left over that we're probably going to work with Dave Murphy, Greg Davenport, to do some more ramps in the upcoming year.
Okay.
And that's already in the budget from carryover.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, Jen Campbell with South Valley Services. Grateful to be here. Thank you for the recommendations. Chuck does an amazing job in working with us and helping us to go through this process. We appreciate the funding. We love being here in West Jordan. We love helping our residents, and thank you for that opportunity.
Stuart Rouse with Legal Aid Society of Salt Lake. Ditto to that. We appreciate the support. Thank you very much.
Roger Borganek from Assist, running the Emergency Home Repair Program, accessibility design to provide aging in place and people with disabilities modifications in their home. And it's been a very strong support from West Jordan, both from the council and the staff. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Britta with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Utah, and we're very thankful for the support of the mayor and the council, and we're happy to keep providing at-risk youth in your community with mentors who help them. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hayden Seeley with Salt Lake Community Action Program. We just want to thank you for your continued support, which allows us to provide emergency food assistance to residents of West Jordan that might find themselves in need. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Burnham, and I'm here on behalf of the Road Home, Utah's largest provider of homeless shelter and services. We currently have a request for $12,000 before West Jordan City to go toward operations of our community winter shelter in Midvale that supports families with children during the critical winter months. We are so appreciative of the recommendation, and thank you for your support.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Merrimet, and I'm with the Family Support Center, and I just wanted to, on behalf of them, thank you all for your support. With over 12,000 visits alone in our crisis nurseries last year, every dollar counts, and we appreciate you for your support. Thank you.
Okay, I always have to make one more comment. For every dollar that these agencies receive from CDBG from West Jordan, we get anywhere from $4 to $5 up to $20 in return in services. So these small amounts are very important to these agencies and everything. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing portion of item 8B. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item, now would be the time. Please.
I guess tonight I have an opinion about everything. Every one of these programs looks like they're very worthwhile programs. We all know that we're socially responsible for helping our neighbors. The only thing that I look at that kind of stands out is there's an awful lot of money sitting in the administration. And personally, it being, wanting to think about accountability, I would really like to see what that $97,000 really is going towards and what it may very well be justified, But as you just heard, every dollar that's given to these other organizations benefits somebody else directly, and actually they get more out of it. So looking at the size of that chunk and then looking at what each one of these organizations get, that virtually $100,000 looks like a very large part for administration. So I would ask that we show due diligence and make sure that if that $97,000 is required, then that's fine. But if we can be more efficient and put more monies back into these other programs, I think it would be dollars well spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please come forward.
Mayor and Council, I will echo the previous citizen that spoke about the administration. I would like to see a detail of a breakdown on that $97,000. I agree. You know, every penny counts. I was the daughter of a coal miner. I saved every penny. I had 3 outfits that I used in high school. So I know money does count. And I would like to see a personal breakdown of the $97,000. To me, it does sound pretty much, considering what we're giving all the way down. And Road Home, now there's a new, I don't know whether we would have any money to look into, but there's a new home down in Salt Lake City. It's called The Inn, and it's for homeless people. It just opened up the other day. I don't know, I saw it on TV, but I think homeless people is one area that we really, really need to look at. I went downtown and there was a man asking for money, and he had a sign up, and he looked healthy, he was strong, and I said, why don't you go get a job? And he said, well, I don't have a home. But he had a sign out on his cart, this is a homeless man, that said he wanted money for beer. And the people that were in the cars in the middle lane, they couldn't see the sign. I couldn't believe it. I do empathize with homeless people, but you should see the cart. I mean, that's a ploy on our citizens. But this inn that they're talking about, they just opened up, and I saw on TV where they are asking for donations. So I would like to please enter that into one of our, because homeless, it is a tough struggle. It's physical and mental, but there are people out there that abuse it. And this man, I couldn't believe that he said money for beer. He was honest about it. But anyway, thank you. But I echo, I would like to see a detail of the $97,000. It's a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Please feel free.
I guess that's all the comments. I'm sorry. What we do every year on the admin, HUD allows us to take 20% for administration, which includes staff, salaries, benefits, travel, training, and all of that. The reason that we don't give the Road Home more money, or we give South Valley Sanctuary no more money than we do, is under the HUD program, we can only spend 15% of the annual allocation for those agencies. And it's roughly around $81,000, somewhere in that range, maybe $82,000. If you notice, every year that we've had the program, we've always maxed out 15%. So every agency here that asks us for money, combined total, matches that 15%. If we could give them 20% more, 30% more, we'd do it in a heartbeat. The difference in the housing numbers also is because it is the Department of Housing and Urban Development, their emphasis is on housing. And that's why the larger numbers are into the housing categories. They're not restricted. The other restriction, like I said, we have admin, we have the public service agencies, and that's why those numbers are so low on those end. But yeah, the numbers are available out there anytime. It's not a problem. and this is all approved by HUD. Thank you.
Thank you again, Chet. Any other person would like to speak at the public hearing? Yes, please come forward.
Jalen Thomas, 1348 West Spartan Hollow Drive. Come on, quit beeping at me. I did want to clarify some of where it was the funding recommendations are 0 or they're reduced, because as a victim advocate, there's a couple on here that we use frequently when we go out on domestics. And the one is the Family Support Center, which is am I reading this correctly, that it's a reduction from 15,000 to 7,000? Am I reading this spreadsheet correctly? Anyone? Okay. 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 Oh, so this is the same. Okay. And then. Oh, okay, so it's kind of, I'm going to ask for more, but hopefully I'll land at least half. Is that, oh, okay. Because I wasn't sure if I was reading that correctly as a reduction, because the Family Support Center, the YWCA, and the South Valley Sanctuary, those are ones that we utilize a lot, where it's difficult as a victim advocate to try and get a victim into a safe place when they're pretty much stretched thin regardless. And then we're struggling and we're spending a couple of hours to try and figure out how we can get this person into a safe shelter. Or with the Family Support Center, we have the crisis nursery used for when people need to go to court to get their protective orders, to have somebody be available to watch their children so they can go in and get the documents and the protective orders that they needed. So that's why I was questioning those amounts. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, item 8B, and Councilmember Nichols.
Mayor, I don't have a comment on the motion if there's no other comment. I'll defer.
Just as a fiduciary, since we're responsible for every tax dollar, whether it comes from the federal government or anywhere, I want you to know that the director of this fund probably is the money is accounted for. It's by law, in fact, if you look at our audit report on our city webpage, the CDBG grant is specifically looked at heavily, and so it's all accounted for and justified. So, thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Hanson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that I sat on this board 2 years ago, and it was shocking to me that we had this kind of need in our city. I find that I was not aware of it. We all live in our own little bubble, and we're unaware even of what our neighbors are going through sometimes. And so it was really an eye-opener to me to see the need that we have within our own city. And I'm very proud that we have this and are able to help these people the amount that we do help them. Thank you.
Councilor Southworth.
Thank you. Real quickly, as a city, we have different roles in different levels of government. Typically, we don't take on the social aspect of it, very often. This is one exception to that. And with that in mind, it's almost a little awkward when we have all these groups come up and they say, thank you for doing this. And I say awkward because really I want to stand up and say, thank you. But I just leave that at that. And it's a great opportunity for our city to reach out and help the people in need. So thank you for what you do.
Councilmember Nichols now.
Thank you, Mayor. Oops, I turned it off. Thank you, Mayor. Just want to make a quick comment. Thank those and staff, also summer staff and residents, the staff and residents, and for participating in this committee. Former member, Councilmember Stoker for participating. He's also now on city staff. And it's, as I participated on it, it's a worthwhile endeavor. And also customary is that we have the council member who participates usually makes the motion. Since Justin is not up here any longer, that's why I jumped in. And with that, I move that we approve the funding recommendations per the CDBG committee.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Discussion? Let's vote.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Mayor Ralph?
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
The vote passes 7 in favor.
Thanks for all the service. We appreciate it. Business item 9A. Discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 15-94, adopting the tentative budgets for the General Fund, the Special Revenue Funds, the Capital Projects Fund, the Water Fund, the Sewer Fund, the Solid Waste Fund, and the Internal Service Funds for the fiscal year 2015-2016, and setting June 10th, 2015 as a budget public hearing. Rice.
Council, I would defer any questions to Ryan if you have any at this time.
Councilmember Southman?
I just have a motion when we're ready.
Okay, please, that would be in order.
I would move to approve. Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion to the motion? Let's vote.
Mayor Ralph?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga? Oh, sorry, he just left. Councilmember Rice? Aye. Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
For those in the audience, that's what happens when you spend a couple hours the night before working on budget items. That's how quick it can happen. So, thanks to everyone for that. Item 9B, discussion and possible action regarding Resolution 15-95, authorizing the placement of a Blue Star monument on city property located at Veterans Memorial Park in the Veterans Memorial Park, donated by the West Jordan Exchange Club and the Utah Association Garden Clubs. Chief.
Mayor and Council, I'm taking off my chief hat and put it on my Exchange Club hat right now, so I appreciate the opportunity to present here tonight. We've had a lot of discussion, so I'm going to kind of cut this short. We have this Blue Star monument, which honors our currently serving folks in the military. I think it's a fitting tribute to put out at our memorial. And I'd just like, real quickly, if we can, to have the members of the Exchange Club and also Darla Anderson from the Utah Associated Garden Club, if they just stand up real quick for the support, and so they can support us here tonight. And so we appreciate their support. And so unless there's any questions, I'll leave it at that.
Questions from council? Thanks a lot, Chief.
Thank you. We do need a motion for approval.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was waiting to see if Councilmember Southwood, looks like you.
Okay, yeah, I was going to make a comment here. I just wanted to say thank you to these organizations. The other day last Monday was over at the Ron Wood Park and spent some time in the playground there, and I want to say thank you just again to the Exchange Club for the work that they did there, what they're doing here, across our city in multiple venues in multiple ways that we don't always recognize and see, but it's a neat thing. So with that, I would move that we approve Resolution 15-95, authorizing the placement of a Blue Star monument on city property.
Second. We have a motion by Councilmember Southworth, and I think a second by Councilmember Hanson. Just slightly. Discussion to the motion. Let's vote.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice? Aye. Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
Okay, business item 9C, discussion and possible action regarding a stormwater grant program. Wendell. Oh,
May I interject?
1 second.
Due to the fact that my home has been flooded and potentially will be in the future, it has a history of doing it, I'm going to recuse myself during this conversation.
You can continue now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. We appreciate the opportunity to present to you some of the ideas that we've developed in formulating a program for the stormwater grant program. This is really just a very rough draft. We wanted to get your ideas and comments on some of the ideas that we had, and then formulate a final document that we would bring back to you. This grant program is just part of a larger effort that the city is performing. As we've talked about in the past, we have the stormwater master plan that we're revising. We have the 70th South trunk line that we're designing, and the subdivision construction project that I mentioned earlier, just north of Constitution Park. So all those things combined with this and other projects that we'll be developing are to address the stormwater issues that we have. And as I mentioned, we prepared a concept document, which you have in your packet with you this evening. So just as a summary of the program that we are proposing, the grant can be used for two different things, either restoration of properties that have been flooded, or we can use it to pay for mitigation of issues such as downsloping driveways or other such things that might help residents who are being flooded, along with city fees that might be incurred as well. Another aspect is that we could make it retroactive, go back and look at the flooding that we've had last August and include that. We also recommend that the program be administered by the risk management division of the city attorney's office. We can use the claim process as part of that. And we are just looking for your comments. The options that are available, option number 1 is a maximum of $50,000, $10,000 per home. Option 2 would be $100,000. I'm sorry. Option 1 would be proposed to come from the Stormwater Enterprise Fund. Option number 2 is $100,000. It was proposed that would come out of the general fund, and option number 3, $250,000, would be proposed to come out of the general fund also. So we're open to any comments. And as I mentioned, we would bring back a revised document for your review. Any questions?
Councilmember Southworth.
Thank you. Wendell, when you mention the options and where the funding comes from, option 1 talks about the stormwater enterprise fund. When you go to option 2 and 3, it drops that from consideration. Is there a reason why?
Not necessarily, except that the stormwater fee would have to be raised quite significantly. But there's no reason that you couldn't use stormwater enterprise fund for 2 or 3 if you wanted to.
Based on the capital facilities plan that we have in place and the projects and the staff that we have, you're saying if we go above $50,000, you're going to have to see an increase in the fee.
You would have to see a slight fee increase for option number 1 as well.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a reason. So, we could take an option 2 or 3.
Right.
$50,000 from the stormwater and utility, I think is very appropriate. And then if we want to go above that, then we find other.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Hager.
Yeah, Wendell, so yesterday, sorry I missed the vote. 4 hours I could only stand, I had to stand up. But yesterday we talked about $60,000 funding this fund. Has that changed or?
That was a green sheet item that we proposed back in November.
So that was okay.
This is just a.
But this is the same thing as far as what we're talking. So
yes.
It's a green sheet, which means basically it's an add-on expense to our tentative budget that we just proposed. It's not part of that budget. So we need to find money now to fund this.
That's right.
I would suggest to the council that we again go back to forgiving the debt of the storm drain, the general fund loan, stormwater, and fund it with that money, because that's $225,000. So we can come right out and have the money that way. That would be my comment on how to fund it.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to say thank you to staff for taking the time to put this together and get something to help people fix the problems in their own yard while we're trying to fix the problems with the infrastructure within the city. So thank you very much for bringing this forward. I'm a little bit hesitant with the funding option listed in option number 1, bringing it out of the stormwater fund, knowing how tight funds are there. We just approved the transfer not too long ago, and I would rather see those funds used to fix the infrastructure of the system, and I would prefer that we fund the program from the general fund. Having said that, I would be an advocate of option number 3. And if there's no other comments, I'd be ready to.
I have a comment first, and then I'd be glad to let you. I believe that option 3 is the only option that helps our citizens, but my opinion is a funding source that's not listed in the packet. I believe, like it states in option 3, that risk management program should not only administer this, but also should fund it out of risk management, because I believe this is what risk management was set up for, and we certainly have funds available there immediately. Yes?
So clarification, Mayor, would you see then a necessary increase to the risk management budget?
Not at this time.
Year?
Either one, yeah, I don't care. Okay. If the direction is heading towards option 3, maybe I would suggest some language that prove option 3 with the caveat that we send back to staff to say, okay, now that you know the amount, identify the exact location these items are going to come from out of our budget. So we don't put an undue burden unnecessarily. We know what we're getting into, so we say where these funds are going to come from. And then I don't know if that's come back. I assume it might. But just a suggestion.
And I agree with that. In fact, in the recommended motion, it's that we approve this conceptually and let them bring back final detail. So if there are no other comments, I move that we conceptually approve the proposed stormwater grant program and direct staff to finalize the details of that program based on funding option number 3.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Rice. Discussion? Councilmember Hager.
So, because, these folks have waited a long time. I'm a proponent of the motion, but can we kind of narrow down some timing and deadlines, so the folks are, is that possible, Wendell? Or what's your projection on deadline?
I think we could probably bring it back in the next couple of weeks. We'll strive for that.
Councilmember McConaughey.
I find myself very much in agreement with Councilmember Haga, just to underscore what he had said. In fact, some of the folks that are here with us tonight have asked us about this potential for this program before, wanting to try and get something in before summer so that they can get changes in place while it's still good for construction, good for any necessary modifications. So I don't want to rush things so fast that we do things incorrectly and make mistakes, but wholeheartedly support your efforts to move forward as quickly as reasonably possible.
Okay.
Let's vote. Thanks, Wendell.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
Councilmember Southword?
Aye.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
Business item 9D, discussion and action regarding Resolution 15-96, authorizing interim city manager to create the Community and Economic Development Department on an interim basis of 6 months. Bryce.
Better turn the mic on. Thank you very much, Mayor. I've made a proposal for reorganizing of 2 departments into one that I believe will create some efficiencies. Are there any questions that I can answer for you at this point in time? Yes.
The only question I have is, in here it says, organize this department on an interim basis.
Yes.
And I have no problem with organizing this department. I think it needs to happen. Now, the interim basis, I understand as I read, just to make sure everybody fits in the seats they are. So I would, if I make a motion or somebody else does, I would hope that, I would suggest that we do this and move forward. The interim part can be an administrative deal. You can figure out who fits in what seats later on, but I hope that this is our focus, this is our direction, and there's no going back as far as the department existing.
If you want to make a motion to that effect, that interim until such time as I determine that things are working satisfactorily. I had anticipated coming back in not more than 6 months to just give a report, so I'll leave that to your discretion.
Councilmember Hager.
Thanks, Mayor. Wow. I saw this. Sorry, I was studying the budget for a couple of weeks, but I saw this, and there's no names on these boxes. So I'm assuming David is the Community Economic Development Director.
Yes, and I apologize for failing to identify him. All of the other...
Could you just go through that and name those positions for me? I'd appreciate it.
Oh, wow. Can I just point out that in the boxes, the Community and Economic Development Director would be David Oak, as mentioned. We have Julie Davis, that is the Administrative Assistant. Excuse me. City Planner. We will be filling that position here very shortly. Greg Mikulash will be leaving the city. Building Official, Bill Bailey. Our Grants Coordinator, Chuck, is here this evening. And then the Economic Development Assistance Manager, Paul Coates. And then the Economic and Development Assistant Supervisor would be Jeremy. This is going to give him some opportunity for management experience. Currently, the position as the manager would require 2 years of experience. He hasn't had that yet, so we're going to allow Paul to mentor him and train him. And then, I'm sorry, Councilmember Haig, I can't name all the other people below our managers. So.
Okay.
Councilmember Southwood.
Thank you. I would, I would move to adopt Resolution 15-96, authorizing the interim city manager to create the Community and Economic Development Department.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion to the motion.
One more comment.
Please.
To those involved, go forth and conquer.
I'm going to speak against the motion. I actually don't like the idea of changing what we currently have. I like David Oka directly over the economic development. I agree that Jeremy should be assisting him, but I believe that we'll have a big hole if we don't have an Office of Development Assistance. We're still getting many, or at least I'm getting many complaints still from the development community, and I think that that position needs to remain a full-time position. That's my comment. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I would speak against the motion as well, primarily because we wanted to put additional emphasis on economic development when we've had our last few council retreats to set goals for the year. And I understand the desire to combine them for administrative purposes. I just worry that that might not make it as easy to put the additional focus on economic development when we try and stoke that one a little bit more. So I think I would speak against the motion.
Councilmember Southwood.
Yes, ODA, I believe, is a vital function in our city and has proved to be very useful, the Office of Development Assistance. But I guess I need to clarify the question. I just assumed that the Economic and Development Assistance Manager encompassed that function, not that it went away, but it was just under another name. Is that incorrect?
That's correct. I apologize. My cold's still causing me problems. And some of the boxes I now recognize are causing some confusion. Paul Coates has been our ODA manager, and he would continue to serve as the manager of that position. But what we intend to do is to have him mentor Jeremy and let Jeremy spend primarily most of his time learning how to be the ODA manager and be a supervisor in that position, and ask Paul to spend more time in economic development assisting David. So I see that where we've normally had Jeremy being an assistant to the city manager, providing data collection and things like that, and he will still do that as needed, but he's a resource, and I've spoken with our folks in development that they say that he is ready for these opportunities. So I actually see that we can strengthen our ODA and we can strengthen our economic development by infusing one more person into the mix. And, you know, again, part of this interim was to find the right fit and assignments that would allow those. So if I've given you titles or things that have caused confusion, that's been the intent all along, is to actually strengthen both of those departments.
Thank you. And that's all I wanted to clarify, is that we'll continue to have that advocacy role for development, to do things like reach out to our Chamber of Commerce and be a partner with them and these businesses that are, you know, have issues and coming in. As long as that's happening, I'm good. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hagan.
Thanks, Mayor. You know, I actually am a proponent of this. I've gotten to know our economic development director pretty well, and what I've perceived over the last year and a half, again, I'm still learning every day in this job, is we have a big problem with developers coming into our city, which are economic development, and going through this process. And I see our economic development director actually as an asset that way in this department. So I'm a proponent of this motion. So, thanks, Mayor.
Let's vote.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Mayor Rawl?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Councilmember Rice? Aye. Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
No.
Vote passes 5-2 in favor.
Item 9E, discussion and possible direction regarding establishing an ethics policy. I brought this to the council, and I hope you've all had a chance to review the two cities that have what I believe are very good ethics policies, and I hope that you would join me in directing our staff in helping to create a strong worded policy, very similar to the ones that are shown in the document. Councilmember Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I read through the provided examples, Draper and Orem, and I like what I see. My concern was primarily with one of them, and I use this word intentionally. It regurgitates state code and just restates it over and over and over again, and it's unnecessary. We don't need to regurgitate state code. What we could do in an ethics policy is make sure that we cite where state code is that we need to adhere to. But I do like the idea. I just want to make sure that we don't just overstep and try to restate what state code has already established. So that's my only concern as we move forward. I would be interested in looking at this.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. As I went through this, I compared some of it against what we already have in the employee manual, and there seems to be a lot of redundancy between the two. Some of it was almost verbatim from what the other cities have as to what we have in our employee handbook, which again leads to just regurgitation of state code. So my question would be more, if we were to adopt something like this, where it looks like the proposal is a codified version of the employee handbook, would we then be cutting down the employee handbook and referencing over to city code? Or could we go the other direction, just so that we're not worried about maintaining things in the same language in too many different places, and then we start to find contradictions as small changes are made over time?
Councilmember Hagan.
Thanks, Mayor. You know, again, when I came into council, you know, when you're in business ethics are different than government, for sure. You know, I'll be at meetings, people will give you gifts, you know, at business meetings, and since you're elected official, you got to be aware that you can only take so much. And even that when it comes to a meal or things like that. As far as an ethics commission, that's where I think we should go. And actually, the reason why is because the state legislature actually has state code, and I've actually put it on the agenda before just as a informational type thing, where cities have the authority to set up their own ethics commission, a separate entity of residents, businesses in our city that then are directed by the state code on how they perform their duties. And the ethics commission would be responsible for hearing complaints from residents and from staff and employees and even from council members. Currently, right now, if you read, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm hoping maybe some of our attorneys might look up this code, but currently we have an option to report ethic violations, and that is with the state AG's office, which has an ethics commission. So what my recommendation, I like this, you know, I think you need to have written code. I would think that we would direct our new legal to look into ethics based on state code and set up a city commission. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Shopper.
Thank you. I guess I'll state out front, my concerns are similar to what I heard from Councilman Nichols and McConaughey. I think it's redundant and probably not necessary, and this is why. When the state legislature changed it a number of years back, I served on a board of a regional organization that actually helped push that through, and we created one there. And we put that into place. At the time, I said, you know, this might be a good thing for the city of West Jordan, so I started working on that. But I realized in our employee handbook, we cover a lot of this. The state has, as just stated, they have an ethics commission set up, where if there are complaints, we can handle that internally, and we can also go to them as well. And so I thought, at the time, I thought it was pretty redundant. It's not really necessary. Not that it's a bad thing to do. If it makes us all feel better that we could just state these things again, we could take it from one area and state it in another area, that's fine. I just think it's very redundant and really not necessary. And so I wouldn't be in favor of doing it, not because of I don't think we need it, but it already exists. And there's multiple layers of it. So if it makes us feel better, we can do it. But otherwise, I feel that it's necessary. Thanks.
Please.
Mayor, if I could just make a comment on behalf of staff. The challenge that typically comes in regurgitating state code and things in another section of code is whenever that changes on the state level, it's hard for everyone to remember that it needs to be changed in other places. So that's the simplicity of just saying we're referring to this section of code, go there, look for it, and if it changes by state law, fine. So there is some merit to that, but then of course sometimes there's specialization that needs to be incorporated. Those things can be amendments within that section to say we'll start here and then here's any amendments or additions. Thank you.
Okay, it sounds like I'm the only one that, oh, sorry, Councilmember Hagan.
I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to investigate and possibly establish an ethics commission for West Jordan City.
Councilmember Southwood.
I'd make a substitute motion. Oh, it was a second. I won't make any substitute motion this time.
That will die for a lack of second. I would make a motion that we direct staff to review the documents. I believe there are various areas that we have deficiencies in our employee handbook and even the council rules and procedures. And I would like that researched. Well, I would direct staff to research those areas and bring us back something that could be voted on.
That I can second.
So we have a motion by Mayor Rolfe and a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Councilmember Southwood.
A point of clarification, if you would, Mayor. It sounds as if you're not asking to create a separate ethics commission within the city, but to take what currently exists, look for deficiencies and holes in what we have, strengthen that if need be. So, for instance, our employee handbook would be. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think there's deficiencies. I would turn that over to our legal staff to make that comment. But yes, in my opinion, we have deficiencies, and I'd like to see some stronger language.
If that is the case, then I would speak in favor of the motion.
Discussion. Let's vote.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice? Yes. Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
Item 9F. Discussion and possible action regarding the selection of a recruiter to begin the process of hiring a city manager. And would you like to report on that? Oh, okay. Please.
Mayor, thank you. I move that we extend the meeting until 9:40.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember Hanson. Discussion of the motion.
Hope it doesn't take that long.
I would speak against that.
I thought you would have to.
I'm going to have to be leaving here momentarily. In fact, I would almost prefer that we hit the consent items that were dropped, and then I might be able to excuse myself. But after about 10 minutes, I'll be leaving regardless. So I would speak against the 9:40.
9:10? Oh, sorry, that time.
Let's vote.
Councilmember McConaughey?
No.
Councilmember Hanson?
Which am I voting on?
To extend the meeting until 9:40 p.m.
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth?
No.
Councilmember Rice? No. Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Vote passes 4-3.
Okay, now, item 9F, discussion and possible action regarding selection of a recruiter to begin the process of hiring a city manager. Would you like to report on?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor.
Please.
This week, a subcommittee of the council, well, I guess we were all invited, but we met and to discuss the various firms. And we came to the conclusion that the organization of Waters and Company would receive our support to move forward in recruiting efforts. And as that, I would make a motion that we move forward with them in this RFP process.
I'll second that motion. So I have a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Mayor Rolfe. Discussion to the motion. Let's vote.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Vote passes 7 in favor.
Item 9G, discussion and possible action regarding the selection of a legal firm to provide legal services to the city. Councilmember Hanson.
Mayor, due to the fact that we haven't had our tablets working, I got the RFPs yesterday as I was leaving the meeting to choose this new recruiter. I did get the forms for this legal firm. We had a meeting last night. I have been unable to look at them long enough to really know what I would like to do. I would really like to table this to give us time, at least myself, and I don't know who else did not receive them through email, so that I would know better what I was voting on.
Councilmember Southwood.
Thank you. I wouldn't disagree with tabling this, but for a whole other reason and for a little bit longer of time. If you go back to the reason we even have these here, because of our legal department issued SOQs, Jeff Robinson did, some time back, for a service and a reason different than what we are trying to use them for today. I think, I don't even know, but there's all kinds of reasons. I think everybody, you got 7 people up here, you could probably give maybe 7. Yeah, you might get 4 or 5 actually different reasons why. So I think we're going about this wrong. We need to step back and say, okay, SOQ process, maybe, maybe not. What would we do in a normal circumstance after we identify what it is we need? And I don't even think we're at that point. So we're way cart before. I mean, the horse is way down the street. The cart's left behind. I think we need to step back and table this to a date uncertain and take some time to think about this. Thank you.
Councilmember Haga.
Yeah, Councilwoman Hanson, there's been a lot of email problems for the last 45 days. However, we had RFP scheduled, and it was on our last week's, or actually 2 weeks ago, agenda. And, I think my only point as far as this is we went out and we went through the state procurement process, which is to send out what we want, to get people coming in. In this case, it was law firms, and we're supposed to select based and grade them. I've been fortunate to be on some of those committees where we decide that they're the most competent and the best qualified for the most reasonable price. And I recall the mayor even saying that we should select somebody that is the most competent and qualified. And I think the RFPs, the process that went through, we're just throwing it in the garbage. And in my opinion, I think we got some qualified firms, and we should be able to make a decision, just like we just made a decision 2 days ago on a recruiter for our city manager. So, I think the council, whether it's now or another time, we look at these RFPs that we've selected, and we go by state law and follow the procurement process and select the most responsible at the lowest price. And I think we have that. And I think the city manager, if he hasn't shared that with all the council, maybe we have another council meeting to talk about those. But I think we need to give them weight because they went through a process. These companies actually spent time and money to bring these to our cities to show us their quality of who they are. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Hanson, do you have another comment?
No, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I would like to direct staff to continue with the 2 firms that we have selected temporarily and continue with them until such time as the council desires a change. And because of the fact that the city manager can only authorize up to $20,000, I believe the city council needs to take action tonight, because with our legal issues right now, we need the support of both firms. Yes, Rush.
Thank you, Mayor. What I would like to point out is that I appreciate what Councilmember Hague said. Yes, we have had very qualified firms present their statement of qualifications. And when this was originally put together, and I have the SOQ statement here, the anticipation was for them, as it's worded here, consultation with and direction of the city attorney's office, and the attorney will represent the city of West Georgia to assist with representing the city. This was anticipated if we had litigation or things like that, that we needed to have somebody come in and help us out, we could hire them. We currently are in a situation that I believe there could be some situations where we do need some help even immediately, and my proposal would be similar to what we've done in the Public Works Department. When they put out an SOQ for engineering services, they kind of leave the ability to look at the qualifications of each one of the firms and say, here's somebody who has this type of experience, and so we'll go negotiate with them, or maybe there might be 2, negotiate with them on price and time and availability, and then come back to the council and say, all right, we've got this one situation. If the council has a desire to do anything different with our current attorney's office and legal staff, this SOQ was not anticipated and doesn't have the information for those people submitting the SOQs to provide a lengthy or long-term management of, say, the department or things like that. In fact, as I've talked to some of the firms that submitted, they said, we don't do that. And so I would propose, if there's some different type of method, that we get a better idea of what that is, let the council and the staff determine what the needs are, and then put a RFP together that allows people to bid off what those true needs are. So I would support the SOQ tonight and allowing the staff to work with you to select people as we need them for these litigation issues. And then if there's something different, that we model whatever that is to allow whatever firms to bid off of or submit proposals for that new need.
Councilmember Southwood.
Let me take a shot at this, at a motion. With that said, then I would move, direct the city manager move forward with the SOQs as originally intended, and bring back to City Council at a later date suggestions and proposals for further action if needed.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. I would question how that would work with the concern Mayor Rolfe brought up with the needs that we have right now, being able to continue with the current legal advice that we've selected. Would that be?
Yeah.
Is it kind of a combination of the two?
Intended in that motion was, the SOQ was intended to be able to take a shopping cart, if you will. As we go down there, I don't say, hey, we have need here. We need a little bit of backing here because we're shorthanded, or this is a specialty that we don't cover. We need to go get somebody who can specialize. I believe the SOQ allows that to have a broad range as you know. Okay. And so that's what's anticipated. Exactly.
So the intent of the motion is to continue with the 2 legal firms that have been selected, while simultaneously proceeding with that SOQ for additional services as necessary.
Well, I wouldn't say that 2 legal firms have been selected. 2 legal firms have been engaged to provide a specific need to advise us in municipal law, correct? Now, beyond that, the SOQ allows us to say, let's say we had a messy real estate issue that we didn't really have the expertise inside. We could go through this SOQ and go to one of these agencies and say, hey, you've got the expertise we need. We already have this on file. We've approved this SOQ. Now we can tap into. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it wasn't quite evident in the motion.
So there's the legislative intent behind the motion for you.
What I care is, if you could clarify the motion, is that we are allowed with the attorney firms that have submitted already, if we want to do something in the future, but to exceed the 20,000 mark that is approved.
And I believe that is the case because an SOQ would, I believe, would allow you to do that anyway, right? Based on the budget that the attorney's office has already approved previously by the council.
Yes,
what I would do in those situations is, whether it's a litigation case or with the two attorneys that we've engaged with, if we see that would exceed the $20,000, I would bring a proposal to the council for approval of whatever firm we determine would provide that service, and then you would give that approval, and we could set limits on it or things like that. So I agree with the concept that you've described, Councilmember Southworth and Mayor. I believe that it's kind of a loose motion, but I can work with it. But staff will not exceed a $20,000 limit without the council authorizing it.
Well, I wanted to make authorization right now to exceed that because I don't think that's going to last long enough to say you did anything. So is that your motion or what Rice had stated?
You got a number in mind?
Please, make a clarification if you would.
You got a number in mind that you think would be sufficient?
Unlimited at this point until changed by the council, at least to the maximum of what the attorney's budget is.
How about in lieu of the 20,000 up to what is budgeted within our attorney's office?
There you go.
Now, I want to state that I have the highest regard for these attorneys, and I believe they're great, but the council just saying, hey, whatever it is, go ahead. I mean, we don't want to give them too much rope here, but I'll tell you what, we know that we'll be prudent, we'll keep track of time, we'll keep you apprised of things, and we'll just keep you informed of where we're at with it. And if you have any concerns, please bring it to my attention so that we're working together in unison on this. But thank you for...
I still don't even know what the motion is. I need to hear the motion. And have
Would you restate the motion?
Absolutely.
And make it clear on the exceeding the 20,000, if you would, please.
Here we go. This is where we earn our money.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll see how close we got it, and then you can correct me. Councilmember Southworth moved to direct the city manager to move forward with the SOQ as intended. I did just add this, authorizing up to the amount that is available in the city attorney's budget, and then bring the item back at a future date for further action if needed.
I would imagine that would cover it, and here's the reason why. This SOQ was going to be administered through our attorneys anyway, through the budget that the city attorney administers, right? I don't know that we need to say anything about a $20,000 limit or more.
So if I just, that language that I have in there?
It's as if our city attorney was still here and he was administering this through his budget.
The only difference is Bryce is directing that, so.
That's true.
So if that the motion, if you accept that motion, okay, who was second? I'm sorry.
Councilmember Nichols.
Are you still second?
Affirmative.
It's still got, I still.
Now you can comment.
Yeah, I do want to comment on, I still need clarification on the motion. I hear it and I hear different conversations, so let me just hear it one more time.
One more time? Okay, one more time. Councilmember Southworth moved to direct the city manager to move forward with the SOQ as intended, authorizing up to the amount that is available in the city attorney's budget, and then bring back at a future date for further action if needed. The motion was seconded by Councilmember Nichols.
Yeah, so,
Oh, no.
well, yeah.
Thank you. So, yeah, I'm going to speak against this motion, not because I think it's probably a good way to go, but I think
we really had a good RFP. I think we had candidates that could have been selected in a proper procurement way, so I'm going to oppose this motion.
Please vote.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Councilmember Haga?
No.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Mayor Rawl?
Yes.
The vote passes 6-1 in favor.
Thanks for staying, Chris. Okay, back to consent item 7F. Approve resolution 15-91 authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement with Tischler Weiss Incorporated to complete impact fee study updates in the amount not to exceed $153,440.
Is that open to questions?
So Mayor, I don't oppose this item other than I have, because of the timing, I haven't had to ask my local questions. So the first question, it's based on a 3-year cycle or phase. Why is that? So we put 60,000 for 2015. Could you explain how that's working?
We found that in the past we've updated the impact fees like every 4 or 5 years, and that's just not been sufficient. So what we wanted to do was update that more regularly, and that's why we split it up that way.
So each year then we're going to study police, fire, stormwater, water.
I think we're talking about every couple of years rather than every year.
All right. So I'll move to accept item F on consent.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Haga and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, it has to be. That's right. I'm sorry.
It has to be.
I was trying to speed it up. Sorry.
I know, sorry. Sorry. Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Mayor Rawl?
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Vote passes 6 in favor.
Consent item 7G, approve resolution 15-92 authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Silver Spur Construction for the installation of backflow devices to the secondary water system at 6 locations in an amount not to exceed $404,538.
So I pulled this, Mayor. I meant just because I'm opposed to it, and I want to express my vote.
Yes.
Mayor, I move that we approve consent item G. Second.
So a motion by Councilmember Nichols and a second by Councilmember Southworth. Discussion? Let's vote.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Mayor Rawl?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
No.
Vote passes 5-1 in favor.
Item 7I, approve resolution 15-93 confirming the interim city manager's ability to appoint an acting city manager in his absence or temporary incapacitation.
So I pulled this one because our city manager put it on the agenda, but I think it requires more discussion, more thought, because, you know, we are governed by manager, mayor, council form of government. And it's the duty of the city manager or interim city manager to always notify the council of his absence. And the code, and again, you have to go back and crack the books open if you're an attorney. 1977 says that only by a majority vote of the full membership of the city council can an acting manager serve in the absence of the even temporary manager. So my point to this is that this action tonight, we can make it that and put it in code, but we don't have any kind of succession type of process. If the city manager is going on vacation, we should be notified at least the 2 weeks before the council meeting, and we vote according to state law. With no offense to the chief or anything, because these gentlemen are way qualified to run our city, but we need to know what's going on in our city when our city manager goes. We need to know who's running it. And frankly, there's been times when I've come here and we haven't had a city manager. And who's in charge? So that's my point to this is I'm going to vote against this because it violates state code.
Councilmember Southwood.
Thank you. I'm actually, let me back up just for a second. We have proved that succession prior to this meeting, it is always communicated very clear. We always know, in the absence of the city manager, we always know who is there, who is acting. That line of authority is always there, and I have full confidence in the ability of the individuals we've put in that capacity to do that. So with that, I move to approve consent item I.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion of the motion?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, I appreciate Councilmember Hage's mentioning of Title 48, the 1977 law, and he's correct in what it states there. But as a result, it does say that the majority vote of the council is what establishes the succession. And former council...
Point of clarification, I add to that there be a full council. We're not even allowed to vote on it right now because we're not voting.
So, let me continue. So, with respect to the state code, it does say that in a former city council, not everyone present here, I was present in that vote, voted for a succession order of the city, and a full member of this council was present for that vote. And it established a succession order, and it's in our city code, in 1-70-9. And specifically in there, it states that if the city manager fails to identify someone, that it falls upon the assistant city manager, to the police chief, to the fire chief, et cetera. And it goes down in that order. So I would support this motion on that basis.
Can I point the clarification of
yes.
The code? So it says, again, I'm not the attorney, but it says a full membership of the council. So we're at 6 members, so probably I just moved to adjourn.
With the motion on the table?
We have a motion on the table. Let's vote.
Councilmember Haga.
Abstain.
Councilmember Rice.
Can I get some clarification on which motion? Are we doing Hager's motion or?
We are approving
the previous motion.
Consent item I. Councilmember.
Okay, then yes.
Let me look.
Move to approve.
Councilmember Southwick moved to approve consent item. Did I say council? Yeah. Consent item I. Allowing the city manager's succession. And it was seconded by Councilmember Nichols.
I said aye.
Okay. Councilmember Southwick.
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols.
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe.
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson.
Yes.
The vote passes 5-1 in favor. Chris pulled H. And I asked him if he wanted to finish it, or so, Councilmember McConaughey, I apologize.
I forgot that.
He pulled it, and I even asked him if he wanted to act on it before he left, and so.
So, we have a motion. A motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Councilmember Nichols. Discussion? Let's vote.
Okay. Councilmember Hanson.
Yes.
Councilmember Haga.
Abstain.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Southworth?
Aye.
Councilmember Rice?
Yes.
Councilmember Nichols?
Yes.
Vote passes 5-2.
Final remarks, you have some.
I had a couple brief, I didn't have any idea this many folks would stick around, so I applaud you for that. I'll be brief. A couple administrative items. Tonight, I was very deliberate in the language I used in extending the meeting to 9:40. Reason being, as I was reviewing that, it's not a council rule that our meeting ends at 9 o'clock. It is a municipal code. We're not canceling the rule to extend it. We're actually, and it says in our code that we can extend it beyond 9, but it's by a motion of the council that we have to do it. So I just wanted to clarify that administratively. Historically, we've always said suspend the rules to extend the meeting, but technically that's not correct. Secondarily, another administrative matter, I was just going to suggest to each of you to go home and look up Robert's Rules of Order with respect to calling the question. Look it up on YouTube or anything like that. Procedurally, I believe we've been doing that incorrect, and it just would be appropriate. The appropriate avenue is whenever a question is called, it requires a second, and immediately it stops all discussion, all debate, and immediately go to a vote with respect to calling the question. And then if it passes, then you vote on the matter. Anyway, just a matter of clarification. I suggest everybody look that up. It was a learning experience when I discovered that.
Was for me as well, because it hasn't been done that way for about 10 years here, so I appreciate you bringing that up. I was going to point that out next time it came up, but luckily it hasn't recently. Any other further remarks tonight? I just have one if no one else does. I would encourage you to study the Welby Rail issue as a council. I'm not going to comment on it here, but be well versed in it, because I believe we need to protect our citizens. So I'll leave it at that. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Southworth and a second by Councilmember Nichols. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I think that's where it was at. It seems like there's 2 of them along 3200 West, so I don't know if the other's over at Oker there, or do you got control over that?
I don't have anything.
Okay, well, one of those anyway.
So along 32, you said?
Yeah, along 32. You know, as you go to that, as you're heading south, just before you get to that second little parking lot there at the end of Constitution, it's like 2 heads up or something. 2, 3 heads up. But it's I'll just have to go through it and check it all out. I didn't know what to say to anybody.